Hey everyone, per your requests, I'm starting Soul Land 5, The Rebirth of Tang San. Chapters 1101 through 1120 of the previous episode. The three most powerful demon races, dragons, phoenixes, and behemoths, maintained a fragile power balance until the fall of the Crystal Demon Emperor created a dangerous vacuum. To stabilize the continent, the Celestial Fox Demon Emperor orchestrated a marriage alliance between Mei Gongzi of the Peacock clan and Jin Onggua of the Behemoth clan. Mei Gongzi, however, rejected this proposal, prioritizing her devotion to Tang San. Her steadfast refusal and the revelation of her human hybrid heritage heightened the ancestral court's hostility toward her. Despite these obstacles, Tang San empowered Mei Gongzi to dominate the battle for the throne tournament, securing her position as the new lord of Kali City. Tang San simultaneously advanced his own power, successfully merging the Golden Mammoth and Behemoth bloodlines into a transcendent form and attaining godhood. With the ancestral tree awakened, he orchestrated a secret human migration to islands in the endless blue sea, using his newfound authority as the sea god to protect humanity from further demon and nymph oppression. As the political landscape shifts following the death of the adamant nymph emperor, Tang San positions himself and Mei Gongzi as the continent's most formidable rising powers, securing their future and independence. Thank you. Now let's get back to the story of Soul Land 5, The Rebirth of Tang San audio series. Chapter 1121. Godfather and Future Father-in-Law. It was City Lord Mei who killed him in the end? Asked the great undead demon emperor. Tang San nodded and said, Yes, her divine sword is powerful, and it has broken through the divine sense of the dark demon great demon emperor. Slaughtering the emperor is not an easy task, not only to kill the body but also to kill the consciousness. Otherwise, the consciousness is immortal, and the emperor has the possibility of resurrection. When he killed the King Kong Tianjing emperor, he used his own power to destroy the other party's consciousness. Of course, it was natural to say that the tree ancestor appeared to the outside world. The great immortal demon emperor frowned slightly. Why did City Lord Mei go there? You asked me to go there. This question asked the key point. Tang Sanyuan was building the wooden city, and young Master Mei was in Kari City. The two main cities were separated by thousands of mountains and rivers. Even the Crystal City was not very close to Kari City. Why did young Master Mei arrive at the Crystal City so well? If he hadn't known the relationship between the great undying demon emperor and young Master Mei, Tang San would probably have thought that the great undying demon emperor who asked such a question was targeting young Master Mei. After pondering for a while, Tang San said solemnly, I told her to go. In fact, after Suan Yu was cured, we had already guessed that the mastermind behind the scenes would take advantage of Suan Yu's heavy injury and dying to go to Crystal City to achieve his goal. So I contacted Mr. Mei and asked her to go to the Crystal City to help. Mr. Mei arrived in time by teleportation and joined hands with us. We strictly kept Suan Yu's cure until then, so the dark demon the emperor was also a little caught off guard when he saw us. As the city lord, Suan Yu, with the help of the power of the Crystal City, is not inferior to him by much, and with me and young Master Mei, he left him there. What Tang San said was basically the truth, he didn't hide anything. The undead demon emperor listened carefully. You guys are not too brave, even the emperor dares to ambush. The undead demon emperor said coldly. Tang San said with a wry smile. This is also something we can't do, we are also protecting ourselves. The dark demon great demon emperor sent someone to attack a quasi-emperor, and wanted to take the opportunity to occupy the main city, which would have broken the rules of the ancestral court. The third elder of the clan has fallen, and there are only 3 elders at the level of the great demon king in our clan, and the losses have been heavy. Speaking of this, his face has become heavy. The great immortal demon emperor nodded and said, Do what you should do, don't mess with the wind and rain. The fall of the 2 emperors in succession is related to you, and the ancestral court is very dissatisfied with this matter. How important is the ancestral court? If all the emperors you get are in danger because of your existence, then you are not far from death. Yes, I understand, Tang San said respectfully. The great undead demon emperor's expression softened. When are you going to marry City Lord Mei? Tang San said. Originally, after I finished the retreat, I was going to go to Kari City to formally propose marriage, but I didn't expect to encounter such a thing. I first came to the ancestral court to report that the dowry is already being prepared at home, and then I will set off to go there. Carrie City is over. Then the marriage hope is to be held in the ancestral courtyard, so that it is convenient for all of you to participate. After listening to his words, the face of the undead demon emperor softened a bit. For you, the two most important things at the moment are getting married and becoming an emperor. Don't worry about other things. The Blue Gold Tree clan is neutral. Zhu Ting will also try to protect you. This incident is an accident, so don't hold grudges. You have to do these two things first and then talk about other things. Understand? Strength is the foundation of everything. Yes, thank you, Your Majesty, for the point. The undead demon emperor gave him a deep look and said solemnly, "Take good care to the city lord, you are a bright moment. If you can watch and help each other in the future, with your talents, you will definitely be able to stand firm in the ancestral courtyard. We are all getting older, and the future ancestral family belongs to you. Is this a release of goodwill? Remind yourself first, then release kindness, which is a sign of affinity coming out of the undead demon emperor." Tang San directly turned a corner and arrived at the residence of the Jingfeng demon emperor in the ancestral courtyard not far away. The great demon emperor Jingfeng had been waiting for him, and when he saw Tang San coming in, he did not speak directly, but made a gesture of invitation, asking Tang San to sit down. Compared with the attitude of Tianyang Tunjing emperor and the great immortal demon emperor with their superiors, the Jingfeng great demon emperor seemed very peaceful. After all, he was the lowest-ranked existence among all Huang, and Tang San's actual strength was obvious to everyone in the battle of occupying the emperor. If he fought with all his strength, the final champion might not necessarily be young Master Mei. The great demon emperor Jingfeng didn't even know who was stronger than the young man in front of him. This one has inherited the ability of the Crystal Demon King to reenact. "Your Majesty asked me to come. What's the matter?" Tang San asked. The great demon King Jingfeng said with a smile, "Thank you mainly. To be honest, the fall of the dark demon great demon sovereign this time was very sudden. I didn't expect that I would become the beneficiary." Tang San smiled and said, "This is what Your Majesty should get. After all, you have never had your own main city. Your Majesty the Sword Saint is not interested in this." The great demon emperor Jingfeng said, "After you and City Lord may get married, you are welcome to come to Black Dragon City as guests. Of course, it should be renamed Jingfeng City at that time. When are you going to get married? The emperor will have a big gift at that time. Deliver." Tang San smiled and said, "I'm about to go to Carrie City to propose a marriage, and then I should come to the ancestral court to get married." The great demon King Jingfeng said, "That's good, it's more convenient." "Well, then I'll wait for you in the ancestral court." Tang San said, "Then thank you, Mian." The great demon King Jingfeng smiled and said, "You're welcome. If you need anything in the future, feel free to say that. Even though I'm at the bottom of the rankings among the emperors, the Phoenix Demon Clan is not only the emperor." Tang San smiled bitterly. "I just came out from the immortal crown prince." The great demon emperor Jingfeng was stunned for a moment. "What is Your Majesty looking for from you?" Tang San said, "One is to understand the death of the dark demon great demon emperor this time. The other is to remind me to keep a low profile and stop causing trouble." The great demon emperor Jingfeng said, "Your Majesty is right. The fall of the two emperors is related to you. You really have to be careful. Let's do the wedding first. You don't have to worry too much. The immortal crown reminds you for your own good. We will all support you." Tang San of course had nothing to worry about, not to mention that the Blue Gold Tree clan played a huge role in the various clans. Just a lot of the emperors in the ancestral court had a close relationship with him. Under his deliberate approach, the Tianyang Tianjing Huang has already regarded him as his own. With the approval of the Tianyang Tianjing Huang, there is no problem with the Yin Tianjing Huang. On the monster clan side, because of young Master Mei, the great Undying Demon King, the great White Tiger Demon King, and the one in front of him can all be said to be their supporters. In addition to the Sword Saint Great Demon King, nearly half of the emperors are related to him. Closely what the ancestral court discusses as the quasi-emperor, he has begun to have a certain right to speak. This was Tang San's confidence after he became the quasi-emperor. After the three emperors either reminded or expressed their good intentions, Tang San quietly left the ancestral court, and did not go to see more emperors, such as the Great White Tiger Demon Emperor and the Sword Saint Great Demon Emperor. He was summoned by the Emperor must not be able to hide the conscientious person. It's one thing to see a few to give yourself some voice, but it's not good to see too many. In many cases, a sense of proportion is very important. Not in a hurry to leave the ancestral court, he went to look at the site of his blue gold palace. His holy mountain is also here. It is very central and is very close to the ancestral court. The defensive circle and the spirit gathering circle are all under construction. Specifically, he still needs to wait for him to go back and build here. After taking a general look, I explained to the person in charge of the construction some of his own thoughts on the construction of the Blue Gold Palace. Only then did Tang San leave the ancestral court and return to Jianmu City.
Chapter 1122, Arrive, Beg.
This departure did not use teleportation, but flew away directly. The more it came to this time of gradually being able to master everything, the more careful Tang San became. The Heavenly Fox Demon Emperor had to be treated with caution. For such an opponent, he will never take it lightly. Although there is no problem in self-protection, it is too involved, and it must not be an easy showdown until the last moment. Everything went smoothly on the way back, without encountering any risks. This was what Tang San could sense through his consonant celestial eyes. When he arrived at Jianmu City, Jin Miaosan had already prepared the congratulations for his marriage. Among them, 12 members of the 9th Order Blue Gold Tree clan were accompanied. The presence of too many king-level elders will be too conspicuous, affecting the neutrality of the Blue Gold Tree clan, but the 9th-rank powerhouses are not so conspicuous. After all, it's a marriage and no one can say anything if there is a slight bias. In order to reunite with young Master Mei as soon as possible, Tang San didn't rest after returning to Jianmu City. He took the congratulatory gifts and drove the Pegasus carriage all the way east. This is a formal marriage proposal, and it must not be passed by teleportation. It must be done with great fanfare so that all the main cities can see it. After all, this is a marriage that spans the east and west, and it is also one of the most important marriages in the history of the ancestral court. It must be seen by everyone. When passing by the ancestral courtyard, Tang San did not enter the ancestral courtyard to rest, but flew directly by the ancestral courtyard and continued onward. Stay as fast as possible. Every night when he was resting, he would quietly teleport to Carrie City to meet with Mr. Mei, wait for a while, and then return to the team. The fairy continent was so huge that even if the Pegasus flew almost non-stop, it took more than half a month to see the city walls of Carrie City. The Pegasus team descended from the sky, slowly gliding down and falling as the Quasi-Emperor. Tang San would have no problem even letting the convoy fly directly into the city, but he didn't do that. The respect of the beautiful sun. Carrie City is naturally ready for a long time. Outside Carrie City, Princess Peacock leads all the elders of the Peacock Monster clan, and the elders of the Blue Gold Tree clan who have arrived in Carrie City before waiting to greet them outside the city. The Pegasus and carriage landed neatly outside the city. The guards of the Peacock Monster clan had already been waiting here, and the onlookers were eagerly waiting, wanting to see what kind of Junyan could become the husband of their beautiful city lord. Husband. The red carpet is spread all the way out from the city gate. Today's weather is also exceptionally good. In fact, even if the weather is bad, the ability of the Peacock Monster race will definitely make it better at this important moment. The Pegasus carriage stopped in front of the red carpet, and Tang San got off the carriage accompanied by the accompanying elders. On the other side, Princess Peacock brought the elders of the Peacock Monster clan to greet him. I have seen the Quasi-Emperor. Princess Peacock bowed slightly to Tang San. This is the etiquette of different classes. Tang San, who is already a Quasi-Emperor, is only second only to a dozen emperors in knowledge in the entire fairy continent. Tang San immediately returned the salute. I've seen Princess Peacock. This is the etiquette of the younger generation. Princess Peacock smiled slightly, and made a gesture of invitation to Tang San. The elders of both sides naturally separated to the sides to make way. Tang San walked side by side with Princess Peacock. Princess Peacock had deliberately trailed him by half a position, but was brought back by Tang San by pausing her footsteps, impeccable etiquette and humility. Although she knew who he was, the smile on Princess Peacock's face was still a bit more intense. Entering the main city together, There is already a luxury carriage that the Peacock Monster clan has already prepared waiting. Tang San and Princess Peacock boarded the largest carriage together, each with their entourage, and headed for Carrie City City Lord's mansion together. As the person who was proposed for marriage, young Master Mei was naturally unable to show his face easily, and was waiting for his arrival at the City Lord's mansion in Carrie City. The carriage marched all the way, and the streets of Carrie City were already in full swing. For this marriage proposal, Mr. Mei announced that the whole city would celebrate for 3 days. For the people of Carrie City and the major races, this is undoubtedly the most important thing. The City Lord married another quasi-emperor. This means that Carrie City will prosper in the future. It means that the main city will take off, and the Peacock Monster clan will surely reproduce brilliantly. This is a top priority for the entire race. Even if he had lived in 2 lifetimes, even if he had once been a king and proposed to his lover, he didn't know why. From the moment he entered Carrie City, Tang San's heart became a little nervous and excited. There is no usual strategizing. Sitting on the carriage, Princess Peacock could clearly feel Tang San's nervousness. He didn't say much the whole time, but the excitement in his eyes couldn't be concealed. Princess Peacock didn't bother him either. She knew clearly what kind of difficulties and obstacles this couple went through along the way. Humanity alone exposes them to all kinds of censure. And what a huge effort Tang San had put into it, and finally he was able to deceive all the emperors, and came to greet young Master Mei as the quasi-emperor and the lord of the main city. The hardships involved, even if you think about it, are full of incredible. However, along the way they have persisted until now, and finally they have to keep the clouds open and see the moon. The carriage finally stopped. Tang San's heart trembled slightly, and he looked at Princess Peacock subconsciously. "Are you there?" With his divine sense, in fact, where to ask, just scanned to know where he is. But he was nervous and excited, and he still asked such words. Princess Peacock nodded lightly and said with a smile, "Don't be nervous, she has already prepared her wedding dress, just waiting for you to come in." Tang San nodded vigorously, but his inner emotions were beyond words. After getting off the carriage, the gate of the City Lord's mansion was already wide open, and a roar of a salute followed, an 81-gun salute of the highest specification. Com only has such specifications under normal circumstances. And at this moment for Carrie City, Tang San was not only a quasi-emperor, but also a future son-in-law, who had such a standard to welcome him. Even the ancestral court would not say that he is arrogant in such matters. Tang San slightly tidied up his clothes and looked at Princess Peacock beside him, who made a gesture of invitation to him. This time, Tang San didn't give in any more, but strode toward the City Lord's mansion. He had already felt the existence of her divine consciousness, and even felt the humming of the Azura sword that was trembling slightly in her divine consciousness. His heart was agitated. How could she be calm? At this moment, all voices had been excluded from his mind. All Tang San could hear was his own footsteps and heartbeat, and another heartbeat that's getting closer. His eyes were slightly blurred. At this moment he couldn't help recalling all kinds of past lives in his mind, recalling everything she had done for herself at all costs, and more, all the good things she used to be together. The beauty of the previous life and this life seems to have overlapped at this moment. Tang San couldn't help but thank the universe for his will in his own heart. After all, let their lovers get married at last. Finally, he can take back his wife, take back his bride, and let her truly return to his side. Finally, he walked into the huge hall. There were no spectators in the hall, and the entire hall was empty. Even the moment Tang San walked into the hall, Princess Peacock waved her hands behind and closed the 2 huge doors. Chapter 11:23. You can kiss your fiancé. On the high platform in front, she stood there, dressed in full clothes. In a silver-white dress and a silver-white crown, her beautiful face is so dazzling. She pursed her red lips slightly, and there were countless sparkling rays of light in her beautiful eyes. On her slender neck, she was wearing the necklace of prayer for the life of the spirit. Other than that, there was no other jewelry. Tang San stood still. Everything on his body began to change quietly. The blue on the skin faded, the spikes faded. The same pure white dress covered his entire body at this moment. He was no longer Jean Mirolan, but Tang San, the Tang San that only belonged to her. Looking at each other, young Master Mei was surprised to see that at this moment, he was already in uncontrollable tears. Immediately, tears welled up in her eyes. I can no longer control my emotions. let alone the restraint of a city owner or a girl. She had already dashed down from the high platform, towards him. The tears flowing from his eyes had already melted her heart. At this moment, she just wanted to throw herself into his arms and fill his everything with her own warmth. The moment he saw young Master Mei, Tang San's emotions could no longer be controlled. The lovesickness of 2 lifetimes, the hard work of this lifetime at this moment, he only felt that everything was worth it, everything he had paid for their efforts were not in vain, and finally, they could truly be together again. He also walked towards her quickly. The tears blurred everything in front of him, and all the surrounding scenes faded. Only her figure was always clear. When the 2 figures finally overlapped, the 2 hearts were already tightly attached to each other. They hugged each other so tightly, and Tang San's tears flowed even more. Hold her tightly, hug her. The hug this time seems to be different from the past, and this kind of hug is melting each other. Young Master Mei gently stroked his back, and her eyes were already as gentle as water. She could deeply feel the temperature on this man, and feel his incomparably sincere love for her. Thank you. Thank you for coming to this world to find me, she said softly. Tang San just hugged her tighter, lest this was just a dream, just leaning on each other like this, for a long time. Their emotions gradually calmed down a little. Tang San carefully loosened his arms, and looked at her from a close distance with that burning gaze. Young Master Mei's pretty face was slightly red, but he did not avoid his eyes. He was also watching his eyes. Tang San's face showed a strange brilliance, then let go of his hands, took 2 steps back, and fell to the ground on one knee. Dear, will you marry me? He was here to ask for a kiss, and the ceremony had to be done again. Young Master Mei looked at him. A smile suddenly flashed in his beautiful eyes. I do. Tang San's heartstrings vibrated fiercely at this moment, and carefully took the left hand she handed over. He stood up slowly, his lips pursed tightly, but there was no more sadness on his face. His eyes were full of smiles, even though at this moment, there were still crystal tears on his face. Where's my engagement ring? Young Master Mei said angrily. It's been ready. Tang San smiled slightly, stretched out his right hand, and a strange light suddenly appeared in his palm, which was the Tower of Time and Space. The moment she saw the Tower of Time and Space, young Master Mei couldn't help being stunned, but the next moment, she saw that the Tower of Time and Space began to rotate violently. Like a crystal, it is crystal clear, but it flashes the ring of time and space halo. This. Young Master Mei looked at him in surprise. Of course she knew how important the Tower of Time and Space was to Tang San, even related to the abilities of his 2 bloodlines. Tang San had already picked up the ring, put it on the ring finger of her left hand, lowered his head, and pressed his forehead against hers. May time never get old, you and I will live forever and ever, and be of one heart. Forever. A soft halo bloomed from the ring of time and space, covering their bodies. At that time, the brand of light was integrated into their bodies at the same time. Young Master Mei's time ring was illusory for a moment, and the next moment it was another ring. It was separated and put on the ring finger of Tang San's left hand. The 2 rings are clearly separated, but they seem to be intertwined. The wonderful feeling also came to the mind of young Master Mei, which made her clearly feel that the power of time had been imprinted in her sea of consciousness. Artifact sharing. To tie the knot. Tang San raised his right hand and gently stroked her fair and clean cheeks. His fingers slid downwards and landed on the necklace of prayer for the same life. In the next instant, divine consciousness was aroused, golden light and shadow appeared behind Tang San, and a strange scene also appeared. With the infusion of divine consciousness, the necklace of Qi Ling Tong Sheng suddenly burst into a splendid golden brilliance. A strange force surrounds and spreads. Cover them. Young Master Mei looked up at him. A little red light flashed between her eyebrows, and in the next instant, the Azura divine sword appeared behind her. A huge golden circle also appeared at their feet. Without any words, the power of the divine artifact has already begun to appear, and the strange rays of light are intertwined in them, as if they have traveled through countless time and space. In the end, on the necklace of Qi Ling Tongsheng, 2 golden beams enveloped them at the same time. Body. At this moment, the consciousness seems to have been blended together, and a clear feeling appears, as if at this moment, they are no longer separated from each other, and they have been completely integrated into one. I would like to live with your prayer spirit. They blurted out at the same time and said this sentence. The next moment, The brilliant golden light illuminated the entire hall extremely brightly. The bright golden rippling and swaying in the air. That is brilliant brilliance, that is the link of praying for the same life and the same life. From then on, they will no longer be separated from each other and will live and die together. Looking at Tang San in front of him, feeling the close connection between them, young master may seem to have something in his mind, and pictures quickly flashed through his mind. Although it was only a fragment, it seemed that his figure became clearer in her heart that if the husband is like this, what more can he ask for? You can kiss your fiancé now, she said softly. He picked up her delicate face, deeply, deeply, and kissed her. That is endless nostalgia. Carrie City has never been more lively, and the 3 days of Daqing will be celebrated all over the world. The whole city of Carrie seems to have become a sea of joy. Countless congratulations were sent from the major races to the city lord's mansion, congratulating the city lord on his official engagement. Mei Gongzi also officially announced that after, she will accompany Tang San to the ancestral court to officially marry him as his wife. Then came the attack on the king. When night fell, there was only one table of banquets in the city lord's mansion. Abandoning all the hustle and bustle at this banquet, most of the participants were human beings. Tang San, young master Mei Xiaohe, Princess Peacock Su Qin, and then there is Zhang Haoshuan, Tang San's enlightenment teacher after he came to this plane, and his friends. Big brother Wu Bingji, Dubai, hometown Cheng Zicheng. With Tang San's help, the strength of his former comrades was not what it used to be. Except for Dubai, the other three were already at the level of demon kings. After Wu Bingji won the frozen throne that Tang San auctioned off, his cultivation has grown even faster, and his bloodline disadvantage has been completely erased. However, it will take some time to attack the great demon king Dat this time. Tang San was also facing the crowd as a human being. When Wu Bingji and the others learned that young master Mei was going to be engaged to Jean Mirolan, the head of the Blue Gold Tree clan, they were all shocked. But today, even when they came to the banquet, their hearts were still full of resentment. They didn't realize it until they watched Tang San transform from blue to what they were familiar with, but it still feels so incredible. Chapter 1124. The place where we first met. Once upon a time, he was the youngest junior who finally entered the Redemption Academy, but now, he is already a quasi-emperor who can slaughter the emperor. Under his leadership, mankind finally had a chance to rise again. All the resentment in their hearts disappeared. Seeing that their lovers were finally married as former partners, they only had full blessings in their hearts. After 3 rounds of drinking, Tang San smiled and said, Xiaomei and I will go to the ancestral courtyard soon to prepare for the wedding. After the wedding, we will officially start retreating and attack the emperor. Only by becoming emperor can we truly have the guardian of the race. Strength. Prime Minister, teacher, you are ready. When we get married, it is the time when the whole clan will be teleported. When he said the whole clan, he naturally referred to human beings. Xiaohe nodded slightly. Everything is ready, just waiting for the opportunity. Do you need to wait for you to become emperor before teleporting? Tang San shook his head and said, No. After we get married, Xiaomei and I will immediately retreat. Among the emperors in the ancestral court, there are quite a lot of people who support us. Before we become emperors, or before we fail to become emperors, even the heavenly fox demon emperor will not act rashly. Don't forget, we just killed an emperor. They also have to weigh and weigh. After we become emperors, everything will naturally come to an end. At that time, no matter what happens, you all just need to keep developing our humanity. Zhang Haoshuan said with some worry. Tang San, don't take risks. You have finally come this far, and Suzutuzi is actually the best. As long as you can all become emperors and protect us humans, why worry about the development of human beings? Grow. The 2 kinds of cultivation heritage that Tang San provided to the human side, the element control is getting better now, more and more human beings are joining it. Tang San is continuing to adjust the divine-given law code. It is conceivable that the future must be a very good one, the path of cultivation. As long as there is sufficient time, human beings will naturally have a great chance to develop. Tang San shook his head gently and said, Teacher, don't worry, I have my own plans. Susuturi. He wanted to do the same. However, there are some things he can't do. Once he and young master may become emperors, they will definitely face huge rejection from the entire plane. At that time, they must leave the plane of Fran Star as soon as possible. Otherwise, even if the plane rejects them, their existence will in turn cause the plane to collapse. What's more, they did not belong to this plane in the first place. On their original plane, there are still so many relatives and friends waiting for their return. Therefore, Tang San will handle the affairs of this plane, but it is impossible to stay here forever. Zhang Haoshuan raised his glass and said, "No matter what you say, all you have done for mankind over the years is in everyone's eyes. You are the true light of redemption for mankind, and truly lead mankind to the future. Let our clansmen never again enslaved." Tang San raised his glass to meet him and said earnestly, "We can only be the guides for the future development of mankind. It is our clansmen who truly decide the future and direction. Only through the efforts of generations can we finally become this kind of people, the protagonist of the world. With our human ingenuity and creativity, this is almost an inevitable path. The only difference is how long the process takes." Shao He also raised his glass and said solemnly, "Toast for the future of mankind. He is now a real human being." Everyone raised their glasses and drank together. The banquet dispersed, leaving the space for the two fiancés. "You're tired, go to rest early. It's exhausting." Young Master Mei held Tang San's hand and said softly. Tang San shook his head. "I'm not tired, as long as I'm with you it's nothing." "Then we..." Young Master Mei lowered his head, but his face was already blushing. They were officially engaged, and she had no defense against him for a long time in her heart. Tang San smiled slightly and said, "Let's go out for a walk." "Huh." Young Master Mei was stunned for a moment, but in the next instant, his delicate body was covered by the silver light released from his body. When it reappeared, it was already outside the city lord's mansion. A hazy ray of light shrouded them, and even people passing by them would subconsciously ignore their existence. This was an application of Ling Situnyan. Tang San took young Master Mei's hand and walked slowly on the central square of Keri City. The moon is bright and the stars are sparse, and the air at night is a bit cold, but it also has a bit of the eagerness and hustle and bustle of the city. Tang San took her hand and walked like that, and soon came to that familiar place. Looking at the small building in front of him, young Master Mei couldn't help laughing. "Where was the first time we met?" she said softly. Tang San nodded. "I'll never forget that glance. You know what? The moment I saw you, my first thought was to bow down to God's will. At that time I was in thanks to all the gods and Buddhas. Thank you for everything. I finally let me see you again. Following the imprint of your reincarnation, I came to this plane. When I first came here, it was the most dangerous moment. Although I still had a little consciousness, my body was too fragile at that time. Just as small babies, especially in the human race, even had a problem with eating. At that time, I could face the possibility of life and death at any time. I was really not sure whether you were still alive on such a dangerous plane. Can I find you again?" Although what he told was peaceful, young Master Mei could clearly feel the danger and pain he faced at that time. Coming from across the plane, a generation of God King Luo fell here, just to find himself. She leaned into his arms and just hugged him tightly. "So, at that time I hated this plane. I even swore secretly that if I couldn't find you or if you were killed. Then when I regained my strength, even at the risk of being punished by the laws of the universe, this plane must also be destroyed. Until later, until here, the moment I saw you, I just felt that I was favored by everything. From that moment on, all my negative emotions were caused by your appearance disappeared. Finally seeing you, there is nothing better for me. In my heart, all that remains is kindness. I just want to protect you and be by your side until we can a day together. And now I finally got it. Thank you for not abandoning me." Young Master Mei raised his head and gently kissed his cheek. "You are so stupid. You know what? When you first told me about our past lives, my heart was full of rejected. I even thought for a while that you didn't love me, just because of the imprint of my reincarnation." Tang San smiled bitterly. "This is also what worries me the most," young Master Mei said. "But then I found out that you are not. You never took the initiative to tell me all about my past life, but just silently guarded me. You told me that since you have lived a new life, you want to let me live without leaving behind. I'm sorry. No matter what time, you embrace me and guard me. Whenever you are by my side, I feel that no problem is a problem anymore. Everything is so easy and happy. And when you leave me at the time, I would feel that everything was so unnatural, as if the whole world was on the opposite side of me. At that time I knew that I had truly fallen in love with you. It is the plane of my love with you with the memory of 2 lives. Instead of me, I woke up. Chapter 1125. Go to the ancestral home. Douluo Dalu Reborn Tang San, we've been through so much together. You know? My thoughts have changed now, and I can't wait to know what happened in our past lives. You can give up everything for me to be reborn, then you in the past life. How much you will love me. And how good I was in my previous life, I deserve your love. Now, I really want to know what happened in my previous life. Seeing the hope in her eyes, Tang San smiled. You will know when you become emperor, you touch the power of rules. The seal of memory will be unlocked. The mystery of the past life will be completely dissipated. And the 2 our memories will also blend together. At that time you will know what happened to us. Compared with this life, our past lives are just as wonderful. Well, I'm looking forward to that day. Mikoto said softly. Tang San smiled slightly and said, but it can be imagined that that day will not be easy for us. Because that time will also be the moment when we stand on the opposite side of all emperors. With you here, I'm not afraid of anything. Young Master Mei said softly. Tang San smiled slightly. With me here, no one can hurt you. When our strength truly returns, you will understand how different we are from this world. The news that Jin Miaolin, the patriarch of the Blue Gold Tree clan, and young Master Mei, the patriarch of the Peacock Monster clan, were officially engaged almost immediately spread across the entire continent. The 2 prospective emperors are engaged and will hold a grand wedding in their ancestral home. This is a big deal for the ancestors. After all, although some of the existing emperors are very closely related to each other, none of them are close enough to be husband and wife. Jin Miaolin represents the ghost family, and young Master Mei represents the monster family. The marriage between the 2 sides was considered a certain degree of marriage for the 2 empires. And Jin Miaolin, as the patriarch of the neutral Blue Gold Tree clan, has a very detached status. Jin Miaolin existed in the 2 Huangs. If the first time still relied on the power of the ancestors, then the second time was when the 3 quasi-emperors joined forces. No matter how you say it, the Dark Demon King is not the kind of king at the bottom. When such an existence is killed, it can always make people understand who the future world belongs to. The ancestral court accelerated the construction of the Blue Gold Palace, and the Blue Gold Sacred Mountain soon stood up. One is to let Jin Miaolin move in as soon as possible so as to condense luck for the ancestral court, and the other is to prepare for their big wedding. The ancestral court has prepared a lot of resources for the 3 quasi-emperors, and now Suan Yu is very busy because of the reception of the Dark Dragon clan. The great demon emperor Jingfeng has officially taken over the Black Dragon City and changed its name to Jingfeng City. The ancestral court also acquiesced to the Crystal City side to take most of the wealth and resources accumulated by the great demon emperor Dark Demon to the Crystal City. After all, it is not a problem to acquire a main city and accumulate resources in the future. Because of this, the Phoenix Monster clan became stronger than ever before, controlling 2 main cities at the same time. Moreover, the Phoenix City of the Immortal Demon Emperor is not far from Crystal Phoenix City, which is very suitable for watching and helping each other. With the help of the power of a main city, the Jingfeng Demon Emperor, who was originally ranked last, will definitely grow and improve in the future, and his strength will definitely change. This chapter is not over. Click next to continue reading. Douluo Dalu Reborn Tang San. After Tang San and young Master Mei completed their engagement, they immediately set off from Carry City to the ancestral court. One is to come to receive the resources for becoming emperor prepared for them by the ancestral court, and the other is to prepare for the big wedding. After the big wedding, they will officially retreat in the ancestral court, and they will not easily exit until they reach the level of the emperor. What no one knows is that in every corner of the fairy continent, human beings are also beginning to preparing for an unprecedented large-scale operation. When Tang San and young Master Mei arrived at the ancestral court, they tried their best to keep a low profile and didn't disturb too many people. The entourage will arrive later. This involves the marriage of 2 major races, and the marriage of 2 quasi-emperors. The preparation for the wedding alone also takes time. After arriving, they still chose to stay at the White Tiger Hotel. This is the most comfortable place. Next, Tang San will spend a lot of time on the establishment of the Blue Gold Palace. This is his own palace, and the ancestral court's Tower of Life will also be built here, and he needs to take charge of it himself. If it wasn't for the Tower of Life, How could he, as the quasi-emperor, build his palace in the center of the ancestral court? What about the area? Just like young Master Mei and Suanyu, it is impossible for them to be allowed to build a holy mountain in their ancestral court before they truly become emperors. This shows how obvious ancestral court's favoritism towards Tang San is. Now all the major races know that, among the 3 quasi-emperors, the other 2 do not say that Jean Miaolin alone is the one who will support him at all costs in the ancestral court. Of course, this certainty would be even stronger if it hadn't killed the Dark Demon King again. Came to the top floor of the White Tiger Hotel, a familiar place, a familiar atmosphere. The great White Tiger Demon Emperor is already here waiting for their arrival. When the White Tiger Demon Emperor saw his granddaughter, his eyes lit up, perhaps because he was nourished by love. At this time the beautiful young master looked more and more brilliant, and her eyebrows seemed to stretch out. This is a change in the heart and mind, and it is obviously a manifestation of inner transparency. This is very important and helpful for practitioners. In this state, cultivation can naturally achieve twice the result with half the effort. Look at their hands tightly together, no doubt this is the performance of love. Moreover, with the identity of a fiancé, there is no need to hide anything. After all, you got it right. The great White Tiger Demon Emperor said with a smile. Tang San said with a smile, "Your Majesty, what you said is wrong. I was chosen by Xiaomei at the competition to recruit relatives. She chose me, it should be said that she succeeded." The great White Tiger Demon Emperor smiled and said, "Yeah, you didn't know how popular you were at that time. Those little girls were all around you, and they wished they would marry you. What else is there about the 4 big 8-tailed Tianhas and flat wives? Stop, don't talk about it. Your granddaughter is a jealous jar. Let me go." Tang San hurriedly apologized. The great White Tiger Demon Emperor laughed, but young Master Mei twisted Tang San's waist and glared at him. "Who is the vinegar jar?" "Yes, I am," the great White Tiger Demon Emperor said to Tang San. "You will need a lot of resources to build the Blue Gold Palace next. You can tell me what you need in this regard, and I will provide you as much as possible. The construction of the Tower of Life will be the ancestor of the ancestors. If the court pays, you can speak up, and no one will say anything about you. After all, you are still counting on you." This chapter is not over. Click next to continue reading. Douluo Dalu Reborn. Tang San nodded and said, "The main thing is the construction of the Tower of Life. After the Tower of Life is built, Xiaomei and I will retreat in it to prepare for the calamity." Speaking of transcending the calamity, the White Tiger Demon King's face narrowed with a smile, and said solemnly, "Crossing the calamity and becoming an emperor is the most important step for any strong person, and the ancestral court will fully support you, but at the same time your own efforts, it is also very important. You must integrate your own strengths and strive for a success. You also said that it will be very difficult for you to cross the calamity. Even if the emperors are willing to help you, the most important thing is yourself. Moreover, even if the same calamity is successfully transcended, different situations and degrees of transcendence will have different powers afterward." Tang San nodded and said, "I already have some ideas. If you have nothing to do with your grandfather recently, just accompany us to learn more and learn more. Only by learning from you can we be most at ease." The White Tiger Demon Emperor said angrily, "Can't you let go of my old bones? Do you still want to slaughter the emperor again?" Chapter 11:26. Aging Fox. He still knew how much Tang San's abilities were, and even so, the battle for occupying the emperor still impressed him. If he hadn't known in advance that Tang San was Jean Miaolin, he would never associate the two as one. Almost all of Jean Miaolin's abilities had nothing to do with Tang San. This kid is just a monster. It was no surprise that the Dark Demon Great Demon Emperor died in Tang San's hands. The White Tiger Great Demon Emperor, he even had a feeling that he might not be able to win this kid now. "We will have a sense of proportion. Just don't use the divine weapon when we are sparring with you," Tang San said with a smile. Hearing what he said, the smile on the White Tiger Demon Emperor's face reappeared. "It's not too bad. Then I'll have to sharpen you all. You've already come, but you still have to go to the ancestral court first, you guys. Since the wedding was held in the ancestral court, how to cooperate with the ancestral court still needs to be discussed with Tianhu. After all, he is the person in charge of the ancestral court." "I understand." Tang San nodded. the White Tiger Demon Emperor said. Tianhu has been very low-key recently, but I am very familiar with him. Whenever this situation occurs, I don't know what bad things are going to be done. When facing him, you still have to be careful. Tang San moved slightly, nodded and said, I understand. Thank you. Among all the emperors, although the strongest are the Tianjing Emperor and the Great Immortal Demon Emperor, the one who really kept Tang San full of vigilance was always the Tianhu Great Demon Emperor. Moreover, there is still a blood debt between the Heavenly Fox Demon Emperor and humans, which will be reckoned sooner or later. After a night of rest at the White Tiger Hotel, early the next morning, Tang San officially came to the ancestral court with young Master Mei. The arrival of the two quasi-emperors is naturally a big event for the ancestral court. The ancestral court's personal guard picked them up and went to the rest area exclusively for them to rest. Tang San asked his ancestral bodyguards to invite the great demon emperor Tianhu to meet him. It didn't take long. News came from the ancestral court's personal guards that the great demon emperor Tianhu invited them to meet in the ancestral court meeting room an hour later. My grandfather is right, you have to be careful, the great demon emperor Tianhu. I think the only variable for us to become emperor now is probably him. Young Master Mei said to Tang San through voice transmission. Tang San nodded slightly. Don't worry, I understand. But it's not easy for him to hurt us. Just look at his attitude first. Although the Heavenly Fox Demon Emperor has been on this plane for 2,000 years, he is also known for his wisdom. But along with the gradual recovery of his strength, Tang San, as a former king who had been in charge of the realm for many years, naturally wouldn't take him to heart. But it should be handled with care. Soon, when Tang San and young Master Mei saw the great demon emperor Tianhu, they were taken aback. The Heavenly Fox Demon Emperor has always shown the appearance of a refined middle-aged man, but this time when they meet again, Tang San is surprised to find that he looks a little old. You must know that at the level of the Emperor, it is easy to control your appearance. Not only is his appearance old, but even his aura seems to have decayed. Your Majesty, you are. Tang San looked at the Heavenly Fox Demon Emperor in surprise. The great demon emperor Tianhu smiled and shook his head. It's nothing. Our family. To be honest, I've lived long enough. How do you say this? Tang San asked. The great demon emperor Tianhu said. There is an old saying that those who play with fire must burn themselves. This is especially true for those of us who control our luck. The number of people in our clan has never been too many, and it's not because of how difficult it is to reproduce, but there are too many cases of controlling luck and being backlashed by luck. Even me is no exception, otherwise there will be no artifacts like the Pearl of Doom. Before me, there has never been a celestial fox clan the emperor who lived more than 1,000 years old. I have been considered a very lucky existence and have lived for more than 2,000 years. However, with some changes in the ancestral court in recent years, the luck has become unstable. In order to stabilize this luck, I have been with all my energy. This backlash will become more and more powerful. My lifespan was originally extended by relying on the treasures of heaven and earth, but now it is beyond my power. There was a bit of desolation in his voice, but it didn't seem to be very sad. It seemed that he had already thought of such a situation. Is there any way to change it? Tang San asked. The great demon emperor Tianhu smiled and shook his head, saying, It's unlikely. I am in control of my own luck, and I can't be clearer how my own luck is. Over the past few years my own luck has been declining, and it has been there are some bad signs. Well, let's not talk about that. Tell me about you come today, but you want to set a date for the big wedding. Tang San said. That's right. Your Majesty is in charge of luck, and I would like to ask you to choose an auspicious day for us to officially marry. The Heavenly Fox Demon Emperor smiled slightly, and his face even had a hint of affinity. This is easy, I have already calculated it for you before you came. About 33 days later, it will be a good day and auspicious day. With this month's work, it should be enough for you to prepare. Many thanks, Your Majesty. Tang San naturally wouldn't argue with him on this kind of thing. He said it could only be that day. After all, they had the name of being in charge of luck. Moreover, based on Tang San's rhinoceros celestial eyes, 33 days later would indeed be an auspicious day. Tianhu Demon King said, However, before you get married, the Tower of Life must be built first. Now the Tower of Life is being built everywhere, and some major cities have been completed, and your elders will officially settle in. It can be felt that with the condensation of life energy in various places, it is of great benefit to the condensation of the overall luck of the continent. The main city already has the Tower of Life. As the one who sits in the ancestral court, you should naturally have it as soon as possible. How? To build the Tower of Life, you can say whatever resources you need, and the ancestral court will fully support you. Thank you, Your Majesty. I am going to build the Tower of Life on the Blue Gold Mountain, and the Blue Gold Palace exists as an annex to the Tower of Life, which can also save some resources. Although a month is a little tight, I personally host, it shouldn't be a big problem. I will send the list of resources needed later, and I will also judge one or two. The Heavenly Fox Demon Emperor nodded and said, yes. He didn't receive any censure from the Heavenly Fox Demon Emperor, but when he came out, Tang San frowned slightly. What's wrong? Young Master Mei asked. Tang San narrowed his eyes slightly and said, the state of the Heavenly Fox Demon Emperor is a little off. Did he lie to us? In fact, there was no backlash. Young Master Mei asked. Tang San shook his head and said, it is indeed a backlash from luck, but logically it shouldn't happen like this. Except that when we crossed the tribulation and became a king, the fall of the Crystal Demon Emperor affected the life energy of the ancestral court. And there is no other situation that affects his condensing luck. When I revive the Tree Ancestor and condense life energy with the Tree Ancestor brand, it even improves the luck of the entire fairy continent, which should be for him. It's very beneficial. That's why he was very kind to me later. Even at the end of the battle of occupying the Emperor, when we finally decided the winner and we had a ranking, he was still good at hosting the competition and there was no luck. What kind of change? How can it be suddenly reversed by luck and become old in such a short period of time? Young Master Mei said. Could it be because of the fall of the Dark Demon Great Demon King and the problem with the Orb of Doom? Tang San shook his head again and said, no, if that's the case, when the King Kongjing Emperor fell, it had already affected it, and it won't wait until now. Young Master Mei nodded silently. Then what should we do? Tang San said. It can only be seen as a trick. As long as we are strong enough, no matter what tricks he does, it will be in vain. Chapter 1127. Blue Gold Holy Mountain. The Holy Mountain, the Blue and Gold Holy Mountain, or the prototype of the Blue and Gold Holy Mountain. Tang San and Young Master Mei were standing at the foot of the mountain looking up at the peak. Today there are only two holy mountains that can be located next to the ancestral court. They are the Crystal Demon Emperor, who once unified the ancestral court, and was recognized as the #1 powerhouse by the ancestral court. The other was naturally built with the Stone of Destiny, and was the Great Demon Emperor of Heavenly Fox, who was in charge of luck for the ancestral court. Their sacred mountain is next to the ancestral court mountain. One is to show their status, and the other is of great importance. The Blue Gold Sacred Mountain of the Blue Gold Tree Clan was finally decided to be placed on the other side of the ancestral court mountain. It was at a juncture with the original two sacred mountains. First of all, it showed the important status of the Blue Gold Tree Clan, and its future influence on the mountain. The great role of the ancestral home. This is already an incomparably huge glory for the Blue Gold Tree Clan. Even the beautiful young master, who is also the quasi-emperor, will not be allowed to build the holy mountain until the calamity is completed. Tang San brought young Master Mei here today to start perfecting his holy mountain, and more importantly, to start perfecting the construction of the Tower of Life. This Tower of Life, which is located in the ancestral court, is a vital existence for the ancestral court, and it is the basis for him to be qualified to build the holy mountain during the quasi-emperor period. The emperors of the ancestral court are looking forward to him condensing life energy for the ancestral court, thereby adding life to the emperors of the ancestral court. There is nothing more important than that. This time, the Blue Gold Sacred Mountain had already been built to a height of 800 meters, which was the height that Tang San required, slightly shorter than the Crystal Sacred Mountain and the Qianhu Sacred Mountain, to show respect for the two. The Blue Gold Sacred Mountain rises from the ground, of course. It cannot be completed by simple earth and stone. When any emperor builds his holy mountain, it is impossible to focus on earth and stone. Tang San's request to the ancestral court was that this holy mountain should be piled up with top-level ores of the 5 elements attribute. The reason is very simple. The 5 elements are mutually reinforcing, and it is the best choice to use it to nurture the power of life. As the tower base of the Tower of Life, It is even more important that in this regard, the ancestral court was not stingy, and mobilized a large amount of 5-element attribute ores. In this regard, the Emperor Liuli made his own efforts. When building the holy mountain, he relied on his control of the 5 elements to make this holy mountain. The power of the 5 elements is extremely balanced. The construction of this holy mountain not only cost a lot, but also consumed a lot of energy from the Emperor Luli Dadati this moment. This heavenly emperor accompanied Tang San and young Master Mei, watching the holy mountain in front of him. On the surface, the whole body of the blue-gold sacred mountain is presented in a deep blue, with a faint golden metallic luster on it. This is when the Emperor Liuli was building this holy mountain, while adjusting the power of the 5 elements, he deliberately controlled it, so that this holy mountain could live up to its name, and it could be considered a good sale to the Blue Gold Tree clan. Mineral races are the most eager for life energy. In this regard, the Emperor Liuli didn't say much. All his efforts were on this holy mountain, so Tang San couldn't help but be surprised when he saw this holy mountain. Originally, in his opinion, it was quite good that the ancestral court could give enough high-grade 5-element ores, but he did not expect that the holy mountain was built more perfect than he imagined. The 800-meter-high blue gold holy mountain is integrated. The outer layer of blue gold halo is flickering, but the inside is the power of the 5 elements operating in a balanced manner, complementing each other. On the top of the mountain, there is a faint halo of the 5 elements condensing, which is clearly the extremely pure 5 elements. Power naturally absorbs the rich various attribute elements in the air of the ancestral courtyard, and reconciles the 5 elements in it and condenses in the blue-gold sacred mountain. Tang San bowed to the Liuli Tianjing emperor beside him and said, "Your Majesty really has a heart." The Emperor Liuli smiled slightly and said, "Since you said to the ancestral court that you hope that the holy mountain is based on the 5 elements, this is exactly what I am good at. It's not a big deal. Back then, when I was building my holy mountain, it was the same. It is carried out in this way. With so much experience and my understanding of the 5 elements over the years, this sacred mountain can be regarded as a masterpiece of mine. I am still very satisfied. It's because my own holy mountain didn't achieve the effect it had at the beginning of its construction. It should be very suitable for nurturing life." Tang San nodded and said, "It's more perfect than I imagined. After the Blue Gold Palace has cultivated, I'll invite you in the future, Your Majesty, come to be a guest." The Liuli Heavenly Emperor's eyes lit up, knowing that her goal had been achieved. When she reached her level of cultivation, she wouldn't say much more, and she didn't have much familiarity with Tang San before. But if you do it yourself, since the other party understands it, that's enough. At least the 2 sides will have a friendly relationship in the future. Then please ask the Emperor to climb the mountain to see. If there is anything inappropriate, I will trouble you to adjust it yourself," the Emperor Liuli said with a smile. "Okay, thank you, Your Majesty." Tang San saluted her again. The Emperor Liuli turned and walked away. An emperor built his own palace. That was the most important secret. No one could easily participate in it, otherwise he would have the taste of peeping at each other. The Emperor Liuli was very careful. Well, not only sells well but also not annoying. This one has put in a lot of work, young Master Mei said softly. She naturally also felt that the 5 elements of energy contained in this blue-gold holy mountain at this time were extremely harmonious and operated freely. Tang San smiled slightly and said, "I'll do it myself, it's nothing more than that. The Emperor Liuli has really put a lot of thought into it. Let's go, let's climb the mountain to see." As he said that, he took young Master Mei's hand and walked towards his blue-gold sacred mountain. Although the entire mountain has been built, there is no way up the mountain. It's not that the Emperor Liuli ignored it, but that every emperor will have his own habits, and it's better to design this kind of thing yourself. Taking one step out, Tang San had already stepped on the mountain, gentle energy rippling from under his feet, and suddenly the surface of the mountain collapsed slightly, and a horizontal staircase appeared. Tang San pulled young Master Mei to stand on the stairs. The surface of the stairs was smooth and splendid, but there was a strange layer of energy spreading out from under Tang San's feet, covering the entire stairs. At that time, calm Tang San once felt different pressures when he climbed the stairs of other emperors. This kind of test can also bring different benefits to climbers. At this moment, he has started to build his own holy mountain. Naturally, he has to protect himself. The holy mountain adds such a power. Scenes from the previous life came to mind. In Tang San's previous life, he finally obtained the Sea God's inheritance on an island called Sea God Island. Entering Sea God Island, he faced the most difficult 9 tests of Sea God, among which the first test was to climb the stairs. That ladder left a deep impression on him. Different layers of the ladder bring different levels of pressure. Step by step, it requires great perseverance, great persistence, and a strong enough cultivation. And for willpower, the test is the most important. Back then, when he climbed that ladder, he really suffered a lot. After ascending the stairs, he gradually passed other tests of the Sea God's inheritance, and finally pulled out the Sea God's trident and became a of the generation, successfully ascended to the realm of the gods. And at this moment, he wants to set up a ladder for his holy mountain, and it seems that there is no better choice than the ladder like that. He took young Master Mei's hand and moved up step by step. Every time he took a step, a new ladder would appear, and Tang San's power would be imprinted on it, and this power was exactly the same as back then. Each ladder represents a different flavor. With the power of his various bloodlines, it was not difficult to simulate the Sea God's first test back then. Chapter 11:28. Enhanced Poseidon Test 1. The stairs slowly ascended, and young Master Mei could clearly feel that the pressure on the stairs began to increase, not only on the physical level, but also on the spiritual level. Your assessment is aimed at below the 10th rank? Is it possible to complete it? Young Master Mei couldn't help asking. Tang San smiled slightly and said, since I was able to complete it back then I also believe that in the future there will be later people who can complete it. Besides, this is just a good memory of my previous life. As for whether anyone can do it, completion, is it really important to us? Soon we will be leaving here. Speaking of which, this holy mountain is still quite good, and maybe we can take it away by then. Young Master Mei smiled and said, just be happy. Since becoming the Quasi-Emperor, Tang San in her eyes has become more and more calm. Even when facing those emperors, he is basically looking at each other. Compared to before, I was a little less careful but a little more dusty. In fact, even she couldn't be sure what kind of strength Tang San had now achieved. Build the blue and gold sacred mountain, and even the blue and gold palace and the Tower of Life, for the sake of getting married, and for the retreat and practice before becoming emperor. Following Tang San's step-by-step climbing, young Master Mei still felt a little illusory. This is the most central place in the ancestral court. Build their own cultivation place. And it is still under the attention of the emperors, and even the foundation built by the Emperor Liuli himself. If they knew in the future that the objects they helped turned out to be human beings, they don't know what they would think. And the man beside him was so daring, but he did it. Capable people can't. Being with him, not to mention anything else, the psychological stimulation alone made young Master Mei fill his heart with excitement. The 800-meter peak, Tang San and young Master Mei climbed for 2 hours before reaching the top of the mountain. A staircase leading from the top to the bottom has been completed. This ladder is longer than when he went through the Sea God's first test back then, and the degree of the test is also higher. It is almost impossible to complete the climb below the 10th rank. According to young Master Mei's feelings, even the 10th rank peak powerhouse may not necessarily be able to reach the peak. Only the 11th order may have some certainty. According to the regulations of the ancestral court, only the strong below the 9th order are qualified to climb such a ladder. With a long breath, Tang San showed a relieved smile on his face. The climb up this way, the establishment of the stairs, is also for him is of great benefit. It was not brought about by memories, but the ability to be down to earth step by step, silently comprehend the changes in oneself, and begin to look back on past lives. If he wants to become an emperor, the difficulty he faces will exceed the imagination of all existing emperors, because once he becomes an emperor, he will embark on the road of return, and he will begin to find the powerful power he once had as a king. After coming to this plane for so long, he has always used the abilities brought by the demon god transformation and the track and field transformation. Although the position of the sea god is still there, he can't use many of the sea god's abilities now, and the power of the previous king level is the real route for him. Taking advantage of the memories of the sea god's first test just now, Tang San also recalled his former abilities to a certain extent, stimulating his memory, and making his body feel as if it was integrated with the former power. For the future retreat lay the foundation. On the top of the mountain, it is not empty. Many precious materials have been prepared here. In addition to the 5-element attribute ores, there are also some materials specially sent by the Blue Gold Tree clan. The trunks of the Blue Gold Tree are all trunk-level trunks. Of course, these were not obtained by hunting the Blue Gold Tree people, but were left behind after the Blue Gold Tree people fell. It can be said that in order to build the Tower of Life in the Ancestral Court and the Towers of Life in major cities, the Blue Gold Tree clan almost emptied their inventory. This is also the sincerity of the Blue Gold Tree clan, which has been unanimously recognized by the Ancestral Court emperors. Please download the novel app Love Reading app to read the latest content among them. The part of the resources that had been robbed by Black Dragon City had been taken back by Suan Yu. Suan Yu did not send the resources to Crystal City, but sent them to the Ancestral Court, and asked the Ancestral Court to hand it over to Tang San. Tang San gave all the parts that should have been given to Crystal City, leaving only the remains of the third elder. It was also one of the thickest blue gold tree trunks in front of him at this time. This kind of blue gold tree trunk at the level of the Great Demon King, although it cannot be compared with the tree ancestor body in terms of level, it is also an extremely precious material. The life energy contained in it is extremely huge, and the 3 elders themselves are to bear those who have passed the tree ancestor branding and baptism have a higher level of life. Young Master Mei turned his head to look at Tang San and said, "Are you building it yourself? Don't you need to call your clan?" Tang San smiled slightly and said, "No, I'll just do it myself. Don't forget, I have the inheritance of the great Crystal Demon Emperor." Young Master Mei rolled his eyes. "You can't come out as Jean Mia Roland." A faint light and shadow flickered around Tang San, and a huge array of light and shadow was projected in an instant, along with the low dragon roar. Thanos, the huge fierce dragon, appeared beside him. If you look at it from a distance, on the top of the deep blue holy mountain shimmering with golden light, a giant dragon with a length of more than 100 meters stretches across it, which is really spectacular and shocking. The fierce dragon silently felt the power of the 5 elements around him, and then turned his attention to Tang San. Tang San said, "Thanos, we are going to build our own place today, and you help me get these materials aside." Thanos let out a low moan and his huge figure twisted, but with the strength of his body, he swept a lot of materials to the side, and vacated the center of the top of the blue gold mountain. Although Tang San and Thanos concluded a contract of equality, after being with him for a long time, especially after Thanos' own consciousness continued to remain sober, he began to accompany Tang San more and more as a servant. It can clearly feel Tang San's power, which it has never felt from any emperor. Although it didn't know that it was the seed of a god, that kind of power gave it a sense of peace of mind, and it could feel that the level of power was by no means comparable to any emperor. Please download the novel app Love Reading app to read the latest content. Tang San didn't tell it much, but he didn't hide himself from it when he was doing various things. Even Thanos could feel the terrifying bloodline imprints in Tang San's body, especially those super bloodlines. It is with such a background that it can help it control its own destruction attributes, and can make Thanos' own state better and better. Before being auctioned off, Thanos thought his life was about to come to an end. When he was occasionally sober, he thought of the scene where he was finally killed because of madness. Or it was because his cultivation continued to rise, and he couldn't control the way that the destructive thought would eventually lead to a terrifying catastrophe to destroy him. There was already despair in his heart. Until it met Tang San. What Tang San brought it was real hope. When the equality contract was concluded, it was already felt. This was the real hope. Although Tang San didn't promise anything, he just had a feeling that this man would take him out of this cage and stop letting that destructive thought affect him. The power of destruction has never troubled him since he followed him. This recent period of time has been as beautiful as it has never felt before. Tang San never forgot to help it regulate the power of destruction. The power of destruction seemed to have become docile in Tang San's hands. Chapter 1129. 5 Lines of Yin and Yang. Equal contracts or something has long been ignored by Thanos. Following such a master is equivalent to giving himself a new life. Tang San pulled young Master Mei into his arms, hugged her, and then walked to the middle of the blue gold sacred mountain by himself. His face also became serious. That in the near future, this is where he wants to transcend the calamity. Everything he does now is to prepare for the calamity in the future. Naturally, there is no room for half-care. Arriving at the very center of the blue-gold sacred mountain, Tang San closed his eyes, feeling the power of the 5 elements rising from the blue-gold sacred mountain, as well as the yin-yang tu qi nurtured in the 5 elements. He stood there motionless, and he seemed to be completely integrated with this holy mountain. The fierce dragon Thanos was crawling far away, staring at the surroundings with burning eyes. At this time, even if there was when the emperor arrived, if he wanted to disturb Tang San, he had to pass the level of Thanos first. Cassette young master Mei also looked at him calmly. Although he didn't know what he was going to do, this man who could always bring him miracles was really worth looking forward to. Tang San's stop here is half an hour. He seems to have entered a state of unity between heaven and man, and the blue and gold holy mountain under him seems to have become a part of his body. Young Master Mei is also at the peak of the great demon king's cultivation, so he can deeply feel that since Tang San stood there, the power of the 5 elements within the entire blue-gold sacred mountain seems to have come to life, and the speed of operation is obviously accelerated. Even the entire holy mountain exudes a more intense power of the 5 elements. Around Tang San's body, faint yin and yang qi were circling. The entire holy mountain is like being nurtured under such energy fluctuations. Although Tang San himself didn't have any aura radiating outward, the various attribute elements in the air inside the ancestral courtyard were constantly converging in the direction of the blue-gold sacred mountain, and once they entered the range of the blue-gold sacred mountain, impurities would be eliminated on their own. Outside, only the most pure energy is injected into it, and it is integrated with the blue-gold sacred mountain. The emperors in the ancestral court could naturally feel what Tang San did, but at this time no one came to disturb him. It is the most important thing for an emperor to build his own holy mountain and his own palace. What's more, Tang San wants to control the power of life for his ancestral court in the future, and condense high-level life aura for his ancestral court. It was too late for the emperors to protect him, therefore, although the blue-gold sacred mountain has a vision, there is no trace of any goblins within the 10-mile radius of the blue-gold sacred mountain. Outside, the ancestral court guards have long been responsible for guarding, lest anyone collide with the quasi-emperor and meet him to build his own holy mountain. Another half an hour has passed, and the original dark blue of the blue-gold sacred mountain has gradually transformed in the direction of sky blue. The whole body became more and more crystal clear. On the top of the mountain, yin and yang revolved, and a black and white 2-color airflow could be seen circling and reciprocating around Tang San's body. The thick yin and yang aura is not hot and cold, but only the purest rule fluctuations. That belongs to the rules brought by the beginning of the world. The emperors who were watching this scene couldn't help but be secretly surprised. You must know that the biggest feature of becoming an emperor is the control of the rules. Every emperor will control at least one rule after transcending the calamity, is the king. Just like the dark demon emperor that Tang San killed, the rules under his control are the rules of the dark attribute. Only through the power of rules can darkness cover a main city, and let all elements in the main city be excluded by darkness. If it weren't for the power of the law of light induced by Suan Yu through the crystal city, coupled with the sacred attribute itself, it can be said to have touched a new rule. It is not an easy task to break the law of darkness like the eternal night, and at this moment, Tang San has not yet become an emperor, but it has already controlled the rules of yin and yang under the attention of all the people. You must know that although this is not a rule that directly affects the battle, it is a rule that is close to the source. Even more important than the rules used for combat. The yin and yang qi seem very peaceful under his control, and it was not something that could be achieved by a sudden attempt. More important is the balance of yin and yang. Although the emperors could also guess that the reason why he was able to balance yin and yang was because the yin and yang qi in front of him were transformed from the attributes of the 5 elements, so the total amount transformed was the same. But even so, being able to control it without affecting its balance still requires a deep understanding of the rules. Tang San finally opened his eyes at this time. He slowly squatted down, and pressed his right hand down on the ground. The location he chose was exactly the center of the entire blue-gold sacred mountain. A group of strange colored rays of light rippling out from his palm, and the concave palm seems to contain some special power. The moment when his palm was pressed on the blue-gold sacred mountain, suddenly, the colorful light rippled, and the strange colored halo seemed to flow down from the top of the mountain, and quickly flowed to the entire blue-gold sacred mountain. Immediately, the blue-gold sacred mountain became radiant and magnificent, and it could be clearly seen even from a distance. Even the nearby ancestral court council mountain was painted with a layer of color because of the light it radiated. What power is this? The emperors flew out, staring in the direction of the blue-gold sacred mountain. When Tang San's palm pressed down, they all had a peculiar feeling that the ancestral courtyard council hill was no longer the center of the ancestral courtyard, but the blue-gold holy mountain that wasn't tall. Moreover, along with Tang San's palm pressing, the huge variety of heaven and earth vitality in the ancestral courtyard began to frantically condense in the direction of Tang San's blue-gold sacred mountain, making the colored rays of light on the blue-gold sacred mountain even more dazzling. Stand up. The heavenly fox demon emperor was suspended above his own heavenly fox sacred mountain. He was slightly old with a strange look on his face, and the heavenly fox sacred mountain beneath him also faintly radiated light. He could clearly feel that. Accompanied Tang San's palm shot, and the strong luck began to condense frantically toward the interior of the ancestral courtyard. Inside his Tianhu sacred mountain, Qi the power of luck is surging, and the speed of condensing is faster than when he condensed the best luck by himself. The breath emanating from the entire Tianhu sacred mountain, the luck possessed by the ancestral court, is rapidly breaking through the previous limit, and it continues to climb as if it has come naturally, surpassing the time when the Crystal Demon King was still there. Good guy. Could this kid be able to do this? The Tianhu Demon Emperor narrowed his eyes, not knowing what he was thinking about. It lasted for nearly a quarter of an hour before the colored rays of light on the blue-gold sacred mountain gradually ceased. The radiance of light gradually descended in the rippling waves, and Tang San also stood up again. The holy dragon spear fell into his palm under his summons, and there was still a colored halo rising from the spot where he slapped the ground before. The holy dragon spear was in his hand, as if it had turned into a pen, and he started writing from the place where the colored halo was, outlining a strange light pattern. First just sketched around that colored halo. Gradually, the scope of Tang San's outline began to expand. It was clearly a complicated array. Vaguely, when he outlined the formation, a faint breath of life began to escape from the blue-gold sacred mountain. You must know that this is a mountain peak escaping life energy. It does not feel rich, but the area covered is huge. Tang San raised his hand and waved. A faint golden brilliance bloomed. The golden color gradually turned into orange gold in the air, turning into a strong sacred aura, covering the top of the blue-gold holy mountain, no longer able to see what he was working on. Something. Chapter 1130. Heart of Nature. The author Tang Jia San Shao reminds, if the content of the chapter is disordered, turn off the reading mode and it will be normal. Although the emperors who are watching here are regretful in their hearts, they have not done anything. After all, when an emperor is building his own sacred mountain core array, he naturally cannot be easily seen by others. If Tang San didn't cover up, they would be suspicious. Okay, Tang San said with a smile. Chinese. One-click direct access to Chinese domain names at this time. The top of the blue-gold sacred mountain was still enveloped by the divine energy aura, but within this divine aura, what young Master Mei could feel was as if immersed in a strange ocean of energy. Young Master Mei was used to it. Since she was shocked by Tang San's ultra-long-distance teleportation formation, she wouldn't be too surprised by what Tang San did. Even Jean Miaolin can imitate it so vividly. What else can't he do? However, she still admires her lover in her heart. In front of so many emperors watching, she can still let go, and she turns smoothly without any tension. This calmness alone is not comparable to ordinary people. With the cover of the divine light, Tang San's movements became obviously happy. The divine dragon spear in his hand was like flowing clouds and water when he outlined the formation. The fierce dragon Thanos was covered with a layer of colorful light. Originally, it was worried that its power of destruction would be touched by this. But it soon found that its worries were unnecessary. The power of destruction on his body was not touched, but became more stable under the shroud of this faint-colored halo. This was an unprecedented feeling, and it seemed to be even better than Tang San helping it to give birth to the power of life and death. The power of destruction has become gentle, and even some of the problems he faces are being solved, such as the tearing sensation caused by the enlargement of the body, and the pain remaining after the impact of the destruction thought in the consciousness. Under the shroud of the color halo, there is actually relief, which is really comfortable. So much so that Thanos crawled on the top of the mountain, and he felt like he wanted to sleep. Tang San naturally won't help this plane evolve, and the plane master of FA launching won't allow him to do so. In that case, once he achieves God Realm, wouldn't he become a God Realm controlled by other planes? It would be swallowed up by Tang San's original God Realm. Young Master Mei silently stood beside him to protect the Dharma for him. Gradually, the top of the mountain has been covered with magnificent lines. When the last stroke was finished, the entire top of the mountain trembled slightly, and the colored halos began to flicker in different areas, and then gathered together again, turning into colorful light bands to form strange runes on the top of the blue-gold holy mountain. That it was a very strange feeling. The various heaven and earth vitality in the ancestral courtyard are extremely mixed. At this time on the top of the blue-gold sacred mountain, there are also all kinds of heaven and earth vitality, all kinds of elements, but there is no feeling of confusion, but there is a wonderful feeling full of order. Different attributes complement and promote each other, without collision or confrontation. Some are that wonderful attribute improvement. The heart of nature is the foundation for the creation of the God Realm. One of the biggest features of the God Realm is the spirit of the gods. Tang San is using his own understanding of the spirit of the gods and the structure of the gods. It is equivalent to constructing a prototype of the God Realm that has been shrunk countless times on the Fran star. Although this weak fairy spirit, the fierce dragon Thanos' eyes kept showing a dazzling look. Although he was born from a puppet dragon, his education was the best among the dragon clan before he went crazy in his early years. But even with the experience of one of the strongest dragon races under its emperor, he couldn't quite understand what the magic circle outlined by Tang San represented. It was too complicated, and it can clearly feel that this seems to be an existence that has transcended this side of the world. What he shot into the top of the mountain was the heart of nature. If you don't make good use of the heart of nature on this plane, how can you be worthy of getting this treasure? It is not an easy task to stimulate the heart of nature, at least no emperor in this plane can do it. In addition to being able to stimulate the position of the gods, it is possible to rely on the chi of chaos. Because of the control of chaos chi, it is possible to make a plane evolve. I in the process of building the magic circle before, the consumption of him was still quite large. The main thing is to control the degree of squeezing the heart of nature. It cannot be overdone because once it is overdone, the heart of nature will have the possibility to fully release its own energy, and it will be troublesome. It will cause changes in the entire plane. In the case of not being able to preside over the evolution of the plane, doing so will cause big trouble for the entire phalanx, and even the planet may be destroyed. If that is the case, the master of the plane will definitely kill him at all costs to stabilize the heart of nature. Tang San didn't rush to start building the Blue Gold Palace immediately, but returned to young Master Mei and sat down with his knees crossed, meditating and resting. First use the heart of nature to build a sea of elements for human beings, and then use the heart of nature to create the core array of the blue gold sacred mountain for himself. These 2 times alone are definitely worth the price. But just borrowing the power of the heart of nature, not destroying it, even the master of the plane can't suppress it. And it can also largely avoid the influence and exclusion of the master of the plane on itself. It can better condense the power of this plane with the heart of nature. The breath of the entire blue gold holy mountain top seems to be sublimating all the time, and even the air has begun to appear colored. How did it know that Tang San used the heart of nature as the core, based on the rotation of the power of the 5 elements, and then guided through the magic circle, absorbing a large amount of the heaven and earth in the ancestral courtyard? Just on the top of this small blue gold holy mountain created a special area. Those colored air, in a sense, have the same destination as the spirits of the gods. Although it can't be compared with the real fairy spirit, it can also be called a simplified version of the fairy spirit. Chapter 1131, Tower of Life. This is a building still made of 5-element ore, and the center of the building is where the heart of nature was planted before. On the surface of the building, Tang San carved magic circles on it while constructing. His speed is very fast. Jin Mengbian is used to cut, or Lingxi Tianyan is used to adjust the attributes of the 5 elements. Coupled with the help of the fierce dragon, it is not too difficult to build such a palace. 3 hours later, the prototype of a palace was built, and the colorful fairy spirit on the top of the mountain disappeared with the completion of the palace. With the cover removed from the divine energy, what is revealed is a palace that appears to be presented as a circle. If you look down from a high altitude, you will find that the palace is actually presented as a ring. There is a faint light emitting from the inside, and it has not been completely built. The whole body of the palace is about 30 meters high. Compared with the palaces of other emperors, it is not too tall. The palace itself has no exposed atmosphere, and it is integrated with the blue-gold holy mountain below. Various runes are engraved on the surface of the palace similar to formations, but because of the faint light of the 5 elements covering it, it cannot be seen too clearly from the point of view of the emperors. This temporarily built blue-gold palace looks a bit crude, at least it can't be compared with their holy mountain palace. But from the point of view of breadth, the blue-gold palace built by Tang San and the blue-gold holy mountain built for him by the Liuli Tianjing emperor had 5 elements in one, and there were no flaws or omissions, which fully demonstrated his ability. As for why the building is ring-shaped, and it is almost all over the top of the mountain, it is not difficult to understand. The space left in the center exists for the construction of the Tower of Life. Facts have also proved this point. After resting for a day, early the next morning, Tang San continued to build the blue-gold palace. In the center of the blue-gold palace, a tall and straight tower began to be built. This time, the speed of construction began to slow down, because the materials used were all blue-gold wood brought by the blue-gold tree family. The functions of the blue-gold trees produced by different grades of blue-gold trees are naturally different. Because the levels are different. So when Tang San was building the Tower of Life, he had to identify these blue-gold woods by category first, and then make different collocations. As for the ancestral court, a large number of resources were allocated to him, including gems of various attributes and energy, and various treasures of heaven and earth. These are all on the list that Tang San gave to the Skyfox Demon Emperor before. The Skyfox Demon Emperor is very powerful, there is no deduction, and the quality is completely provided according to Tang San's requirements. While Tang San was building the Tower of Life, he also wanted to start arranging magic circles in the blue-gold palace. It was originally arranged on the top of the mountain, which was called the basic formation. The truly important magic circles are all carried out inside the blue-gold palace, although the exterior of the blue-gold palace is relatively simple, and there is no magnificent shape, just a simple and unpretentious metal appearance, but in fact the interior layout of the blue-gold palace is extremely elegant. At first Tang San just used blue-gold wood to build a roof above the circular palace, and then began to draw the magic circle inside the already built blue-gold palace. Most of the gemstones he wanted were for inlaying magic circles. This is really a fortune. Even a race as rich as the blue-gold tree clan cannot provide him with all of them, because some gems are monopolized by the ancestral family, and they cannot be bought with money at all. Therefore, the construction of the blue-gold palace seems to be a bit slow. The internal construction no longer needs the help of the fierce dragon. The fierce dragon coils around the peak of the blue-gold palace, silently guarding the place. And young Master Mei was in the blue-gold palace, helping Tang San. One by one, the magic circles are constantly outlined and inlaid. Let the interior of the blue-gold palace become more and more magnificent. Mr. Mei followed Tang San to build it every day, and only then could he feel more and more how much he had done in the process of building the magic circle. The first is the balance between the effects of these magic circles. This point Tang San said is the most important. Only the balance of the magic circle can be stable and play its role stably. Once there is a trace of conflict, it may be the embankment of 1,000 miles destroyed by an ant's nest. Therefore, even he has to be very careful. Every time a magic circle is built, he has to use the consonant I to investigate carefully. After all the magic circles in the blue-gold palace were built, Tang San began to really build the Tower of Life with the blue-gold palace as the outer base. The magic circles in the Tower of Life are more complicated, and each magic circle is being completed extremely finely. Just for the first floor, Tang San spent 3 full days. When the first floor of the Tower of Life was completed, the first floor was flush with the blue-gold palace, and it looked as if the blue-gold palace had been capped. When Tang San inlaid the last gem, it was inlaid together with the blue-gold wood used for the base. Immediately, a burst of extremely rich life energy soared into the sky. The life energy exuded a faint blue halo, and the moment it rushed up from the blue-gold palace, it immediately alarmed the entire ancestral court. The emperors were the first to sense it with their huge spiritual sense. One after another flew out of their own palaces and stared in the direction of the blue-gold palace, based on the 5 elements, and nourished by yin and yang. The life energy of the blue-gold tree clan surged. Instantly under Tang San's auspices, bursting and pouring madly into the air. That powerful life energy covered the sky of the entire ancestral court with a light blue color, and a light rain began to fall in the air, bathed in the fragrant rain. No matter what race it is at this moment, there is a feeling of being completely reborn. Having endured the baptism of life, the entire ancestral family seems to be a little more charming. The aura of life is extremely strong, but the area covered by is not too large. The closer the ancestral court is to the blue gold sacred mountain, the stronger the aura of life is, so much so that around the blue gold sacred mountain, there is a kind of it feels foggy, but that is not a change in the sky at all, but the mist of life that is condensed due to the thick life breath. In fact, this is not just the brand of tree ancestors or the life energy of the blue gold tree family being nourished by yin and yang. The most important source of energy is actually the heart of nature. The heart of nature is the foundation of the God realm, formed by the sublimation of the energy of the entire plane. Stimulated by the chi of chaos, under Tang San's control, the energy released is naturally extremely huge. After Tang San's filtering and transformation, this becomes life energy. This is life energy that is good for the emperor. Without investment, there is no output. Since Tang San built this tower of life, he must let all the emperors feel the benefits from it. Only in this way the emperors will continue to support him at all costs. Moreover, the first floor of the Tower of Life is also the most important, communicating with the entire blue gold sacred mountain and the base of the blue gold palace, and allowing the heart of nature to continue to output and connect with the Tower of Life. After this most important step is completed, the subsequent construction will be much easier. Tang San and young Master Mei are sitting right now in the center of the first floor of the Tower of Life, silently swallowing the huge life energy born in the Tower of Life. Such a huge amount of life energy can't directly improve their cultivation. What's more important is to nourish their bodies, change their life levels, and prolong their lives. And the potential benefits are many. Ability users with multiple bloodlines like them are prone to conflicts among their own bloodlines. The huge life energy is the best way and means to adjust and correct errors. Chapter 1132 13 Floors. Although Tang San had the Chaos Blue Silver Emperor to adjust, but the Chaos Blue Silver Emperor was the only one among all the bloodline marks that could be cultivated through life energy. The Qi of Primal Chaos requires a huge amount of Yin and Yang Qi to support it in order to slowly improve. At this time, the life energy born on the basis of the heart of nature can even nourish it better than the Yin and Yang Qi. The reason why he devoted himself to building this Tower of Life was naturally not for the ancestral court, but for his own retreat in the future. Tang San wanted to become emperor, although the preliminary preparations were almost done, but the closer he was to the emperor, the more difficulty. The energy required is also extremely large. Young Master Mei's feeling at this time is even more profound. Under the harmony of this life energy, the power of the three major bloodlines of her own is full of a strange feeling. But there is no such problem at all. There seems to be a lot of sticky things between the three bloodlines, and these sticky existences are deeply loved by the three bloodlines. They have gradually forgotten each other, forgot to fight for the mastery, and they are all doing their best. Absorb these energies. However, the life energy has naturally imprinted the brand of life belonging to Mr. Mei. Subconsciously, the three major bloodline imprints of young Master may have already begun to have a common affiliation, and this high-level life energy also made her have a deeper feeling for the rules Tang San said, and tried to touch herself a presence that should be touched. The radiance and breath of life emanating from the blue gold sacred mountain also officially announced in the ancestral court that a brand new sacred emperor mountain that could benefit the common people was officially completed. Although the Tower of Life has not been fully built, but despite this, the benefits it can bring to the ancestral court have almost surpassed most of the emperor's holy mountains. The emperors of the ancestral court were also very satisfied when they saw this scene. The Tower of Life has only just begun to be built, and it has already exceeded their estimates. Such a situation naturally makes all the emperors overjoyed. Feeling the impact of the high-level life energy on the ancestral court, and the potential impact on oneself, this will undoubtedly be of great benefit to their longevity. Now they are all looking forward to the changes that will be brought about after the Tower of Life is fully completed. His support for Tang San Changhuang became more and more unwavering. Tang San rested for 2 days before starting to build the second floor of the Tower of Life. At the second floor, there were no other materials used. It was completely built with blue gold wood and the oldest mortise and tenon structure. The second floor compared to the first floor, the overall volume shrunk a little. Tang San built it very carefully. It took a full 2 days to complete the second floor. Then it is to describe the inner magic circle and inlay the corresponding gemstones, so that the breath of the second layer and the first layer are connected, and the magic circle is connected. When the second floor was completely completed, the breath of life energy released by the Tower of Life increased by as much as 30%. The clouds and mist above the top of the blue gold sacred mountain seemed to have solidified and hovered, and only when the wind blew occasionally, could the situation on the top of the mountain be vaguely seen. How many floors are you going to build? Young Master Mei asked curiously. Tang San said, the 13th floor. Young Master Mei was taken aback. Is it so tall? I thought the 7th floor would be enough. Tang San said, since we want to do it, we should do our best. What's more, this Tower of Life will be very important for us to overcome the catastrophe. But don't worry, I will build it to the 7th floor and we can get married. Afterwards, we will retreat. It's time to continue building. We can't let the emperors feel too many benefits at once, otherwise it's not good if the coveting heart is strong. Hearing that Tang San was going to marry him, young Master Mei blushed immediately, lowered his head and said, I didn't mean that, I didn't want to urge you. Tang San said with a smile, it's not you urging me, it's me who is in a hurry to marry you. The corner of Mei Gongzi's mouth was upturned, with a satisfied expression on his pretty face. He said slightly annoyed, it's more or less the same. Tang San laughed and said, okay, let's continue. Young Master Mei cuts materials for him, and he designs and stitches them together, and then draws the magic circle, and young Master Mei protects the law for him. The two cooperated more and more tacitly, and the Tower of Life began to take shape layer by layer. The cloud and mist on the top of the blue gold sacred mountain also became more and more dense with the construction of the Tower of Life layer by layer. The cloud and mist began to spread to the surroundings and began to rise to the sky. The tower is revealed, and the expanding cloud and mist brought more and more life breath to the ancestral court, especially in the range around the ancestral court's parliamentary mountain. The life energy in the air was condensed as if it was real, and when it was near here, there would even be aura on the body. A wet feeling, as if the whole body is injected with life energy. That feeling is really wonderful. Even the emperors, most of the time recently stayed in the ancestral parliament mountain to practice, just to be contaminated with this extremely rich life energy. At the same time, the emperors are also silently guarding the blue gold sacred mountain. There is no place that is safer than the blue gold sacred mountain. Every time the Tower of Life goes up one level, the breath of life inside the ancestral court will become more intense, and even the luck fluctuations of the Qianhu Holy Mountain of the Qianhu Great Demon Emperor will increase a little bit. There is no doubt that the concentration of life energy it is of great benefit to the luck of the entire plane. Now all the main cities of the mainland are building towers of life to condense life energy. However, although the influence of luck brought by the towers of life in these main cities is also there, it is relatively small. But the Tower of Life that Tang San built had not yet been completed, and it had already begun to have a huge impact. The Sky Fox Demon Emperor felt the most deeply. He even watched it near the blue gold sacred mountain many times, wanting to see what is the difference between this holy mountain and the Tower of Life built in the main city. From the style point of view, it seems to be similar, but the life energy emitted by the Tower of Life here is stronger than other towers. The Tower of Life in the main city has too much life intensity. It seems that the life energy of the entire plane is being extracted by it, and it is drawn to this place, making the entire plane tremble. But it made Fairy Continent gather stronger luck that if this continues, the Sky Fox Demon Emperor even feels that the number of emperors that can be carried on the Fairy Continent will increase. Since the fall of the Great Crystal Demon Emperor, the King Kong Heavenly Essence Emperor and the Dark Demon Demon Emperor have also fallen. There are already 5 vacant thrones, and there is still a gradual increase. This also means that the luck condensed in the entire Fairy Continent occupies a greater proportion of the entire Phelan Star. From the inherent point of view of the Sky Fox clan, this is of course a great thing. The stronger the luck, the more beneficial it is for the development of the Sky Fox clan. The Great Demon Emperor Tianhu has clearly felt recently that both his cultivation base and his lifespan have increased, and even his already aging face has recovered a bit. This made Tianhu Demon Emperor feel a little mixed in his heart. Although he already had a high estimate of Jean Miaolin, he never expected that Jean Miaolin would still bring more to his ancestors than he imagined. The feeling of other emperors is even better, because in the past 2 or 3,000 years, there has been the rule of the Great Crystal Demon Emperor, so the Fairy Continent is peaceful, the Richen Empire and the Tianyu Empire coexist peacefully, and there has been no war, so the emperor the survivors lived for a very long time. Except for the latecomer Jingfeng Demon Emperor, almost all of them were over 1,000 years old. They are all over 2,000 years old. Chapter 1133. Unparalleled Breath of Life. The stunning talent of the Great Crystal Demon King also died when they were 3,000 years old, and they are confident that they are unlikely to exceed the lifespan of the Great Crystal Demon King. But after the construction of the Tower of Life on the Blue Gold Sacred Mountain began, the thoughts in their hearts began to change subtly. If Tang San continued to build, if the effect of the Tower of Life could be even better, then who can say that they couldn't live longer than the Great Crystal Demon Emperor? More importantly, don't forget that the current Jin Miaolan has not yet become an emperor. He already had this ability without becoming an emperor, so what kind of life energy changes will he bring to the ancestral court after becoming an emperor? Out of satisfaction with the Tower of Life in the Blue Gold Palace, a discussion was held within the ancestral court. Most of the emperors believed that the Blue Gold Tree Clan's Blue Gold Palace and the Tower of Life would bring help to the ancestral court in the future, by no means inferior to the Skyfox Holy Mountain of the Skyfox Great Demon Emperor. This undoubtedly established Tang San's important position in the ancestral court in the future. Coupled with the support of Tianyang Tianjinghuang, there is already some vague intention to position Tang San as the successor of the Tianhu Demon Emperor. Compared to the Skyfox Demon Emperor who controls luck, Tang San not only can control the power of life, but also has the inheritance of the Crystal Demon Emperor. The spirits and monsters naturally spared no effort to support them. In history, there has never been a situation where the spirits and monsters can become the lord of the ancestral family. That's right, because of the existence of powerful races such as the Dragon Clan, the Phoenix Monster Clan, and the Behemoth Clan, the Richen Empire has always been in a relatively weak position. If it wasn't for the fact that the Great Crystal Demon Emperor didn't like aggression, it would not have been difficult to unify the two empires during her years as the Dragon Lord. Now, although the Blue Gold Tree Clan exists in a neutral position, the Jianmu city of the Blue Gold Tree Clan is still in the Richen Empire. Moreover, no matter how you say it, the Blue Gold Tree Clan is also of spirit origin. If Jin Miaolan can be promoted to become the lord of the ancestral family in the future, exists as a neutral race, and is born in the spirit and monster race, this will be considered as making history for the Richen Empire. Even if Jin Miaolan does not favor the Sun Empire, the two empires will at least maintain their current status for many years to come without conflict. Even if he leans more towards the Richen Empire, the Richen Empire will definitely be able to develop greatly. It's not just the spirits who support it. Even the monsters have many supporters. The Heavenly Fox Great Demon Emperor did not express his position, nor did the Immortal Demon Emperor, but in terms of the Dragon Clan, Suan Yu as the Quasi-Emperor and acting City Lord of Crystal City, showed full support for Jin Miaolan. Although it is only the Quasi-Emperor, don't forget that it represents the most powerful Dragon Clan in the mainland today. Even if there is no emperor, the Dragon Clan is still the strongest clan. Needless to say, the Peacock monster race, they are husband and wife. The White Tiger Demon Emperor clearly expressed his support, and that was his grandson-in-law. To the surprise of all the emperors in the ancestral court, the Great Demon Emperor Jingfeng, who had just become the Lord of Jingfeng City, also expressed clear support without reason, and its attitude can naturally represent the undead Great Demon Emperor to a certain extent. Therefore, although there are still a few people on the side of the Great Demon Emperor who are not very supportive, such as the Great Demon Emperor Cracking the Sky and the Great Demon Emperor Mammoth, they can no longer affect the overall situation. With the approval of the ancestral court, the support for Jin Miaolan will be further improved. It is very important to ensure that he will become emperor. To this end, the ancestral court will provide resources at all costs. These resources will be sent to the Blue Gold Sacred Mountain immediately after the Tower of Life is built. The negative impact of the killing of the Dark Demon King has also gradually faded. The Dragon Clan did not express anything about the Jingfeng King taking over the Black Dragon City. The Crystal City seemed unusually calm, but everyone knew that in the near future, when soon after Yu Changhuang, everything will become different. The main reason why the Dragon Clan is low-key now is that the Dragon Clan has no emperor. The Phoenix Monster Clan is now at its peak, with one clan and two cities unique. This is still the case that most of the emperors don't know that young master Mei also has the blood of the phoenix. Once young master Mei becomes emperor, the phoenix monster clan will truly become the 3 emperors of the same family. This is also the reason why the phoenix monster clan is also quietly supporting Tang San. Isn't supporting Tang San the same as supporting young master Mei? And with the relationship between husband and wife, the phoenix monster clan must have a closer relationship than the dragon clan and the blue gold tree clan. The emperors each have their own plans, and the ancestral court has also returned to peace. Tang San's speed of building the Tower of Life was not fast. It could even be said to be getting slower and slower. The construction of the first 2 floors is relatively fast, and after the 3rd floor, the construction of each floor becomes very smooth. However, after each layer is built, the effect of the Tower of Life continues to increase. Almost all of them are 30% more overall effects on the basis of the previous layer. The superposition of 1 or 2 layers is not a big deal, but when the Tower of Life reaches the 7th layer, the sky above the entire ancestral courtyard is almost covered by clouds and mist, so that the sun can only shine through the gaps in the clouds on the land of the ancestral home. But the strange thing is that the ancestral courtyard did not become dark because of this. Under the sunlight, a faint blue light was revealed from the clouds, and the soft and rich life energy floated in the ancestral courtyard. Let the whole ancestral home have a special atmosphere. In such an environment, the vegetation growing inside the ancestral courtyard grew rapidly while being infiltrated, and some even became spiritually enlightened. This is undoubtedly excellent for the spirit monsters. The benefits obtained by the monster clan are not too great. Many monster clan powerhouses have evolved bloodlines after bathing in such life energy. There is no doubt that the construction of the Blue Gold Sacred Mountain and the erection of the Tower of Life are changing the entire ancestral home. The light emanating from the Tianhu Sacred Mountain also began to become more and more intense, complementing the breath of life emanating from the Blue Gold Sacred Mountain. The double cohesion of life and luck made the entire fairy continent feel prosperous, not much better than the most prosperous period when the Crystal Demon Emperor was still there to tea this moment. Tang San approached the Sky Fox Demon Emperor again. Looking at Tang San standing in front of him with a smile on his face, the eyes of the great demon king of the Sky Fox were a little bit smaller. After only 2 months, this young man from the Blue Gold Tree clan seemed to have become a little different again, with a more restrained aura. But the whole has a lustrous feeling. The blue face faintly reveals a layer of precious light. The vitality of the body is not exposed, but just looking at him, but there will be an unconscious sense of affinity. The Sky Fox Great Demon Emperor is someone who has been there. He understands that this situation means that Tang San is getting closer and closer to crossing the catastrophe. The establishment of the Emperor Zhuan's Tower of Life can be said to be a blessing to the common people, and we old guys have benefited a lot. On behalf of everyone, I would like to thank you first. The Tianhu Demon Emperor said to Tang San with a smile. He was observing Tang San, and Tang San was also observing him. The Sky Fox Great Demon Emperor's age seemed to have improved a bit, although he was not in the best condition as before, but at least he stopped aging and he was also better than before. He was a little younger when we last met. However, the decay in his eyes did not weaken much. Tang San moved slightly in his heart and said, "This is what I should do, and it is also the role that our Blue Gold Tree clan can play to the ancestors after they are neutralized." The Great Demon Emperor Tianhu said, "Looking at you, it should not be far from crossing the catastrophe, but are you ready?" Tang San said, "We still need some final shocks." The Great Demon Emperor Tianhu said, "Don't worry, fight steadily and earnestly. Becoming an emperor is not an easy task. Although all the emperors will help you when you cross the catastrophe, you still have to rely more on yourself. You have to remember that when you become an emperor, the more you rely on your own strength to overcome the calamity, the more benefits you can gain, and the stronger your own strength will be after becoming an emperor. During the period when you were building the Tower of Life, the ancestors held a special meeting to discuss your matters. We agreed that you should obtain the greatest resource tilt. All resources have been prepared for you. After you, when needed, they will be sent directly to the Blue Gold Sacred Mountain. You have to know that even under the crown of the big crystal demon back then, there was no such treatment." Tang San smiled and nodded and said, "Don't worry, I didn't come to you this time for this matter. I plan to marry Mr. Mei. I want to attack the throne after getting married. In this way, we can attack the throne together and help each other." The Sky Fox Great Demon Emperor moved his eyes and said, "Have you already used the necklace of prayer for spiritual rebirth?" Tang San smiled wryly. "That's exactly the case, only in this way can we fully gain the trust of young Master Mei." The Great Demon King Tianhu frowned slightly. "Actually, you don't have to be like this at all. Speaking of which, I'm to blame for this matter. If the battle of knowledge to occupy the emperor was not a martial arts competition, maybe there would not be so much trouble." Tang San understood that he still said that the 4 big demon kings of the 8-tailed celestial fox and fox would make him a wife. Is Cheng Huang not good? It is indeed your fault. It's all because of you stirring up wind and rain that you have such troubles, the Great Demon Emperor Tianhu said. Then when are you going to get married? We have almost prepared the relevant matters before. Tang Sandao. I plan to temporarily build the Tower of Life until the 7th floor is capped. After we get married, I will take the beautiful sun to retreat directly to make the final preparations before the emperor. At that time, I will continue to build the Tower of Life until the Tower of the Tower blooms with the strongest brilliance. So, let's proceed according to the auspicious day you said before. The Great Demon Emperor Tianhu narrowed his eyes slightly, nodded and said, "Okay, I will inform all the emperors for you. You can continue to build the Tower of Life wholeheartedly. All the preparations for marriage are left to the ancestors." Thank you, Your Majesty. Chapter 1134. The first guest of the Blue Gold Palace. Saying goodbye to the Great Demon Emperor Tianhu, Tang San did not return directly to his Blue Gold Sacred Mountain, but first found Tianyang Tianjinghuang and told him about his upcoming marriage. To hug thoroughly. It can be used at critical times. Then I went to the residences of the White Tiger Demon Emperor and the Immortal Demon Emperor, and reported the situation to them respectively. The Great Demon Emperor Jingfeng is not in the ancestral court, but he is handling various affairs in Jingfeng City. He has just taken over the main city, and he still has a lot to do. After finishing these matters, Tang San returned to the Blue Gold Palace. At this moment, in the Blue Gold Palace, dense colorful rays of light bloom softly. Outside the Longines Palace, there are fierce dragons coiling around. If these colorful rays of light escape, they will be absorbed by the fierce dragon immediately, and they are not afraid of other emperors noticing. With his own holy mountain and imperial palace, everything here is closely connected with Tang San, and his current cultivation and background are even more different than before. In this case, it is enough for the Blue Gold Palace to isolate itself from the outside world. This faint-colored halo is just a simplified version of the fairy spirit born from the heart of nature. A small part of it radiates up, combines with the Tower of Life, and turns into life energy to bloom outward, while most of it accumulates in the blue sky. In the Golden Palace, it was provided for him and young Master Mei to practice. After this period of time, young Master Mei's body can also be said to have been completely reborn. Sitting there cross-legged, there is naturally a sense of majesty. Tang San quietly came to young Master Mei's side, silently looking at her delicate face. Looking up again at a magic circle in the Blue Gold Palace, feeling the strong aura emanating from the Tower of Life, all preparations are about to be completed, and next, they will meet the 2 most important things, big marriage and becoming emperor. The news about the impending marriage of the 2 quasi-emperors had already spread like wildfire. The ancestral court did not hide anything and soon announced the official wedding date. The powerhouses of the 2 major races, the Blue Gold Tree Clan and the Peacock Monster Clan, entered the ancestral courtyard early on, and cooperated with the ancestral courtyard to prepare for the big wedding. The location of the big wedding is naturally set in front of the Blue Gold Sacred Mountain. Not all participants were able to enter the Blue Gold Sacred Mountain. Therefore, the front of the Sacred Mountain, and also the front of the ancestral court Parliament Hill, was the most suitable place to hold the wedding ceremony. With Tang San's efforts, the Tower of Life has been temporarily capped, limited to 7 floors. On the 800-meter-high Longines Holy Mountain, in the center of the Longines Palace, this Tower of Life drilled out, making the entire ancestral courtyard shrouded in clouds and mist, and life descending. Since the Tower of Life was gradually built, the rain over the ancestral court has obviously increased a lot. And what almost all the people in the ancestral home look forward to most is rain. Because whenever it rains, there will be the most intense life energy coming, which will give them a chance to improve. Now the powerful people of all major races outside are all desperate to come to the ancestral courtyard to bathe in the rain of life. The ancestral court had already anticipated the emergence of this situation. When Tang San built the first floor of the Tower of Life, he had already promulgated the decree, which greatly raised the threshold for entering the ancestral court. Bloodline level, cultivation level. Moreover, each stay in the ancestral court should not exceed 7 days. You need to apply for a special ancestral pass. The existence of the level below the king, the mind is only allowed to apply for a pass twice, even for the level above the king, as long as it is not a first-level bloodline. The number of times to apply for a pass is also limited. In this way, the ancestral home was not overcrowded. However, as soon as the news that the two quasi-emperors were about to get married came out, the number of people applying for ancestral court passes surged instantly. If you think about it with your feet, you can guess that the marriage of the two quasi-emperors will definitely bring many benefits. For a while, the ancestral court became lively again, even more lively than during the battle of occupying the emperor. But the Longjin Palace on the Longjin Sacred Mountain felt a little quiet at this time. Tang San and young Master Mei are silent cultivators on the first floor of the Blue Gold Palace. The monsters and spirits outside may think that the higher the Tower of Life is, the richer the life energy is, the more suitable for cultivation. But in the Blue Gold Palace, it is actually the opposite. In the Blue Gold Palace, the most strange energy is the first floor, which is the first floor of the Tower of Life. Because only here, there is the simplified version of the fairy spirit suppressed and controlled by Tang San's magic circle. Immortal Qi contained the bodies of Tang San and young Master Mei, and during this time it has been helping them improve their bodies towards the divine body. This is why Tang San was so excited when he saw the Heart of Nature at the super auction. Having this improvement will be of great help to them. Not only for becoming an emperor and crossing the catastrophe, it is equally important for ushering back the power we once had. Especially Tang San, as a previous generation of king, he already has the position of in his body. If he wants to restore the king's cultivation base, his body's endurance is also very important. He has made a lot of preparations, but if he can use the fairy power in advanced Qi helps oneself to improve the body, and the chance of success is naturally greater. The improved body has a stronger carrying capacity, which also allows him to continuously improve his blood brand without pure suppression. Jean Miaolin, I'm here to pick you up. Quickly open the door to greet you. Ha 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 ha. At this moment, a loud laugh came from outside. Hear this voice. Tang San and young Master Mei opened their eyes almost at the same time. But this time, young Master Mei didn't look at Tang San immediately, but lowered his head shyly. Pretty face flushed slightly, but Tang San got up happily and said softly, "It's finally time. I haven't been able to cultivate well these 2 days." Young Master Mei snorted softly, but there was a hint of nervousness and coquetry in the coquettish hum. Tang San stretched out his hand to her. Young Master Mei still lowered his head, but handed it to her. Tang San pulled her lightly, already pulling her into his arms. "Thanos, please come in, Your Majesty." While speaking, he waved his hand, and the door of the Longjin Palace was already open. Outside the door, the fierce dragon Thanos withdrew his dragon tail, and a tall figure also appeared outside the door. The moment the door opened, the White Tiger Demon King was stunned for a moment. He obviously felt something. "Grandpa, please come in." Tang San's voice came from inside. Read the full text. The White Tiger Demon Emperor hesitated for a moment, but still walked in with great strides. When he just walked into the gate of the Blue Gold Palace, the light behind him had already dimmed, and then there was a muffled bang, and the door closed. The White Tiger Demon King was taken aback, and immediately after, he saw a faint colorful air rushing toward his face. Subconsciously, his own stellar energy burst out. But soon, he felt something was wrong when his aurora came into contact with the colorful light. The aura instantly became brighter, and he also saw a pair of people standing there holding hands not far away, looking at him with a smile. "This is..." The White Tiger Demon Emperor was stunned. Tang San smiled slightly and said, "I fooled you so much at the beginning. I have to come up with something practical to show you hope. Take off your defenses and feel it." After all, the great Demon King Baihu still trusted them, and immediately withdrew his stellar energy, allowing the colorful light to fall on him. In an instant, its tiger eyes widened. Although it is only a simplified version of the spirit of the fairy, it is also the spirit of the fairy. When these fairy spirits infiltrated his body, the White Tiger Demon King felt as if his limbs and bones had been opened, and an unprecedented sense of comfort instantly spread throughout his body. His divine consciousness, which was already at the emperor level, underwent a subtle change in an instant, and an unspeakable feeling of sublimation instantly spread throughout his body. A faint white light mist naturally rose from his body, and his whole body was as transparent as if he had taken a hot bath in an instant. Even his spiritual consciousness was no exception, and he felt as refreshed as if he had been washed. What is this? The White Tiger Demon Emperor said in a voice.
Chapter 1135, Wedding Prelude.
Tang San smiled and said, "How do you feel?" This feeling is too good. If I had such energy for me to practice, and given me a certain amount of time, I would dare to fight even if it is the great Crystal Demon Emperor. Tang San smiled and said, "Remember the God Realm I told you about? In the God Realm there is such energy, and it is 10 times stronger than this. This is called Fairy Spirit. On this plane that's all I can do. And it can't leak out and can't be detected by the plane. I promised you that I will take you to the God Realm in the future. That is the world close to eternal life, and it is full of things that you can do for you. The sublimated spirit of the spirit." The White Tiger Demon Emperor silently absorbed the simplified version of the fairy spirit around him, but he was already a little speechless. Once upon a time, the boy in front of him was still very weak in his eyes, but his talent, eloquence, coupled with his yearning for outsiders and the future of his granddaughter, convinced him. But at this moment, truly feeling the beauty of this fairy spirit, it was as if he had really opened a door to the future world for him. The world behind this door was really too longing for. "Thank you, Tang San. I understand a little bit." The White Tiger Demon King nodded to Tang San, then unexpectedly bowed slightly, and gave a salute. Tang San smiled slightly but didn't back away. In terms of real age and level, the White Tiger Demon Emperor is far behind him. "I will definitely do what I said. Today I will trouble you." The White Tiger Demon Emperor laughed and said, "This is really a double blessing. Since you can produce this fairy spirit, you should not be far away from this plane." Tang San nodded lightly, looked up at the top of the first floor of the Tower of Life. "Perhaps it's not far away." Young Master Mei let go of Tang San's hand, and came to the side of the White Tiger Demon King with a blushing pretty face. The White Tiger Demon King took a deep breath and looked at his beautiful granddaughter. "I thought you were lucky before, but now that I think about it, it should be my luck. I am the lucky one to be your grandfather. I am lucky to have such a grandson-in-law, and I can still go to see the outside world in my lifetime, to see the higher level existence of this world." Young Master Mei raised his head, smiled and said, "This is fate, isn't it?" The White Tiger Demon Emperor smiled. "Isn't it just fate? Boy, let's go. You have to be careful when picking up the bride tomorrow. It's not that easy. Ha ha ha." Reluctant to give up, but still took the beautiful son and left the Longines Palace. He is the first guest of the Blue Gold Palace. Watching them leave, the smile on Tang San's face gradually subsided, and countless emotions gradually appeared in his eyes. In the previous life, I didn't give her a grand wedding. In this life, maybe it can be regarded as making up for the regret of the previous life. Xiao Mei and Xiaowu, we can really be together again. Yes, the reason why the White Tiger Demon King came to pick up young Master Mei today is because tomorrow is the day when they will get married. As a bride, young Master Mei can't still be with the groom-to-be the night before. Naturally, I want to go back to my mother's house. Tomorrow, Tang San will go to the White Tiger Palace to pick him up. The day of great joy is coming. The ancestral home is full of joyful atmosphere everywhere. In the corner is still that remote tavern. The figure in the gray cloak was already waiting there, with a glass of ale in front of him, but he never moved. Suddenly, a soft halo lit up, and the next moment, a figure appeared on the chair opposite it. Sensing this person's arrival, the body under the gray cloak trembled slightly. If it was able to catch a trace of the other party when it met last time, then this time, even if the other party was sitting in front of it, it still had a feeling of no trace. What kind of existence is this? It has also guessed, but it has not been sure in the past. But this time it is almost certain that the person sitting in front of him must be an emperor, and only an emperor can have such strength. "Are you ready?" the other party asked in a very ordinary voice. This voice is different every time he sees it, but for the gray-robed man, what he can be sure of is that it is actually the same person every time he sees it. It's already been prepared. What about the reward? The gray-robed man asked. The other party handed over a storage ring. The gray-robed man took it and put it on his fingers. The next moment, the aura on it had obviously relaxed a bit. Give it all to me? Aren't you afraid that I won't keep my promise? Don't you need to keep a copy until it's done? The gray-robed man asked. I may not have time to see you after this is done, so I'll give it to you first. It's nothing to be afraid of. If the shadow demons didn't even have this reputation, you probably wouldn't exist long ago. You just need to put these two things together. Put it in that place and your mission is over. While talking, this invisible figure took out two disc-like objects and handed them to the gray-robed man. Okay, it must be done. The gray-robed man took the things over. The next moment, the figure opposite it had disappeared without a sound, and there was even a feeling of trance in its expression, as if the other party had never existed. Looking down at the two discs in his hand, he carefully put them away. Only then did the body soften, turning into a faint shadow, and then quietly dissipated in the shadow. Ancestral home. Early in the morning, the sky was still covered with white clouds. Perhaps because there was no sunlight, the weather seemed a bit cold and humid. Although it was not yet bright, the streets were already full of people, bathed in the pattering rain. Both the monsters and spirits were filled with happy smiles on their faces. This is the real water of life. Under such water of life, they only feel that their bodies are sublimating all the time. Today's rain started very early, and it was heavier than usual. Even if the rain fell on the ground, it would evaporate a strong breath of life. In such a surge of life energy, every existence that bathes in it can't help being refreshed, and the whole body is full of inexhaustible vitality. They all understood that this was a gift from the quasi-emperor, and they can only be worthy of this great gift if they send blessings to this lord from the bottom of their hearts. Today is the day when the two quasi-emperors get married. The people spontaneously walked in the direction of the ancestral Parliament Hill. The great demon emperor Qianhu sat silently on the main seat in the main hall of his Qianhu palace. His eyes looked a little blank at this moment. Undoubtedly, for the ancestral court, today is another big day. The marriage of the two quasi-emperors even represents the future trend of the entire ancestral court, which is related to the relationship between the major races and the major emperors. Therefore, there will be countless ever-changing development possibilities in the future. It has been many years since such a grand wedding was held in the ancestral courtyard. However, what has not happened in the ancestral court for many years but has happened frequently recently, is it more than this? Since Mr. Mei came to report on his work, which caused a shock in the ancestral court, the Qianhu Holy Mountain has been hit by an unprecedented impact. Everything seems to be changing. Young Master Mei, who has human blood, became the Lord of Jelly City, the patriarch of the Peacock Monster Clan, and successfully reported his duties. Then came the fall of the Great Crystal Demon Emperor. In the past 2,000 years, no emperor has fallen, and the fall of the crystal has directly affected the pattern of the entire ancestral court. /69/69579/311274880 Chapter 1136 Cloud Bridge. If the fall of the Great Crystal Demon Emperor is an inevitable process of historical development, after all, she has lived for more than 3,000 years. So what happened afterward? The holy mountain of Qianhu was unstable, there was a problem with the control of luck, and there was even the birth of the doom bead afterwards. After that, the Vajra Heavenly Essence Emperor fell. This is the emperor who was killed. The appearance of the tree ancestor, the super auction held by the ancestral court, and the battle to occupy the emperor, all these things have not happened in 1,000 years. When did the peace of the ancestral court, and even the peace of the entire fairy continent, begin to be broken? He doesn't know either. Yes, even he who is the master of luck doesn't know. Not long after the three quasi-emperors were born, they actually killed another emperor, and they couldn't even escape. How incredible is this? However, it just happened. Under the protection of all the emperors, the three quasi-emperors were not punished. It seems that everything is still in order. However, are there really so many things that are logical in this world? If everything is logical, then is it not so simple? The Sky Fox Great Demon Emperor closed his eyes slightly. Back then, if the Peacock Demon King was still around, maybe he wouldn't have such doubts. I don't think about it so much, I just need to ask the Great Demon King Peacock to peek into the sky in the future, and then I can see some clues. However, he can't do it now. After all, he only controls luck and has no ability to predict the future. However, that feeling of uneasiness was always lingering in his heart. Today, another thing that has never happened in 1,000 years is about to happen. Under normal circumstances, only the emperor has the qualification to hold a wedding in the ancestral court. Before today, the latest to become emperor was the demon emperor Jingfeng, but the demon emperor Jingfeng was not married. Alas! A long sigh came from the mouth of the Sky Fox great demon emperor. His eyes became a bit confused, and he stood up slowly. This wedding must go on after all. Now that I have made a decision, I can no longer be swayed by anything. When I make a decision, I will make a decision and act according to my own beliefs. Blue Gold Holy Mountain. Tang San had already changed into a fine attire, a white dress neatly on his body, and this dress was prepared by Jean Miaosan for him. It is said that there are only 2 craftsmen who can make this dress in the entire fairy continent. The dress was extremely straight, outlining Tang San's figure perfectly, and the 8 spikes on the back were gathered inside, so they couldn't be seen from the outside anymore. The most difficult part of the dress process is a special embroidery method. It is known as silver plate and gold thread. That is to say, between the inner lining of the dress and the outer white fabric, there is a layer of silver plate inlaid in it, and after the silver plate and the fabric are bonded together, patterns are embroidered with gold thread on it, finally forming a very magnificent and beautiful dress. Special patterns, these patterns themselves have the effect of magic circle. That is not an ordinary silver plate gold wire, but made of mithril and fine gold. This piece of clothing itself is already close to the existence of the artifact level, but more is to show the temperament of the wearer. Because of the embedding of the thin silver plate, the dress looks even more straight, and it looks a bit arrogant when worn on the body. In front of the Blue Gold Palace, on both sides of him, are a group of elders from the Blue Gold Tree clan. A total of 20 elders arrived. Except for the elders who sit in the main city, almost all the other elders came, and Jean Miaosan naturally came too. There is nothing more important than the marriage of one's own brother. Tang San had a faint smile on his face, although the sky was still not sunny, but at this moment his mood was clear and bright, looking into the distance, feeling the reverberation of the breath of life around the body. Everything around is like a dream. Boom! At this moment, a loud roar suddenly resounded, refreshing Tang San and the Blue Gold Tree people around him. This is the sound of a salute. The sound of the salute means that the auspicious time has come and the wedding is about to begin. Jean Miaosan came to Tang San again, straightened his clothes for him, and said with a smile, "Brother, congratulations." Tang San smiled slightly, patted it on the shoulder lightly. "Thank you." Jean Miaosan froze for a moment. "Are you still being so polite with me?" Tang San smiled and shook his head. "Of course you're welcome, you'll understand later." Boom, 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 boom. The salute was fired 9 times in succession. Jean Miaosan got out of the way, and Tang San walked step by step to the edge of the Blue Gold Sacred Mountain, which is the end of the climbing ladder. Looking into the distance, he waved his hand and suddenly, the Blue Gold Palace burst into brilliant blue gold brilliance, turning into a huge blue gold beam of light that soared into the sky, straight into the sky. Immediately afterwards, a huge blue gold halo bloomed in the sky above the ancestral courtyard, like fireworks in full bloom. In an instant, the life energy in the ancestral courtyard continued to surge, giving people an indescribable strange feeling. The people all cheered involuntarily, and there was nothing more exciting than this moment. It's about to start. In the sky, the original white clouds suddenly began to surge. Under the stimulation of the blue gold beam of light, the white clouds dispersed, causing a beam of sunlight to fall from the sky and shine straight on the Blue Gold Sacred Mountain. Immediately, the Blue Gold Holy Mountain was covered with a layer of brilliant golden light, full of sacred brilliance. Clouds come. Tang San waved towards the white clouds, and suddenly white clouds descended from the sky, and the clouds that descended gathered in the direction of the Blue Gold Holy Mountain, circling around the Blue Gold Holy Mountain. The golden light shining down from the sky and the white clouds surrounding the holy mountain suddenly made the whole Blue Gold Holy Mountain look full of strange brilliance, like a holy mountain, even covering the brilliance of the ancestral Parliament Mountain next to it. Tang San slowly pushed forward with his right hand, and immediately the clouds floated far away and formed in the air, turning into a cloud bridge that slowly stretched far away. Under the protection of the elders of the Blue Gold Tree clan, Tang San stepped onto the cloud bridge, and that cloud bridge carried his body like a solid body and gradually extended towards the distance. This spectacle immediately drew cheers from the watching people. The Emperor, this is the power of the Emperor. In their hearts, Tang San, who had already established the holy mountain, was already equal to the Emperor. The cloud bridge extended. The smile on Tang San's face never diminished, his walking speed seemed slow, but the cloud bridge was extending rapidly. Boom, 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 boom. The roar of the salute sounded again, and the sound of the rolling guns echoed in the mountains surrounded by the ancestral court. Although deafening, it is full of festive flavor. The Yunxiao bypassed the ancestral court's Parliament Mountain and quickly extended in one direction. On the bridge, Tang San and the others walked towards the distance step by step under the protection of the elders of the Lanjinsha clan. The stretching speed of the cloud bridge gradually exceeded his walking speed. Under the gaze of all the people, the cloud bridge became longer and longer in the air, but the cloud bridge that had already passed was solidified and still exuded a strong fragrance. Breath of life. The Yunxiao stretched all the way to the top of the White Tiger Sacred Mountain and then stopped. The two holy mountains are also completely connected by this cloud bridge. The salute was still roaring continuously, and the moment Tang San stepped onto the White Tiger Sacred Mountain, it happened to be the last echo of the 81st salute in the air, 81 gun salutes. This is also the highest standard of courtesy from the ancestral court. Even the Emperor can't use the 81 gun salute to celebrate anything other than a major event. Chapter 1137. Welcoming the White Tiger Palace. On the top of the White Tiger Sacred Mountain, the White Tiger Palace stands majestically. At this time, the palace gate opened, and the White Tiger Demon Emperor stood outside the palace gate, looking at Tang San with a smile. After Tang San boarded the White Tiger Sacred Mountain, he strode up to 10 meters in front of the White Tiger Demon King and stopped, bowing in salute. The White Tiger Demon Emperor smiled slightly and said, "Boy, if you want to marry my granddaughter, you have to pass my test first. Take 3 palms from me, and you can pass the test. Please." Tang San smiled and nodded. The fairy continent advocates force, and there is nothing more convincing than strength. Therefore, when nobles get married, it is an inevitable etiquette to try and pass the test. Choose a strong man from among the woman's elders to test the man. After passing the test, you can marry the woman. Of course, most of the time this is just a formality. After all, on such a happy day, no one will make things difficult for the groom. However, the situation where the emperor tries to move against the emperor is a rare situation. At this time, there were crystal screens broadcasting this scene in the densely populated areas of the ancestral courtyard. The White Tiger Demon Emperor took a deep breath. There was no killing intent rising from his body, but his tiger eyes had already lit up. A powerful aura erupted from his body, and the entire White Tiger Sacred Mountain seemed to have merged with him at this moment. And Tang San looked so insignificant in front of this huge white tiger aura. Is this coming for real? The audience looked at the situation shown on the crystal screen in surprise, but in their hearts there was only excitement. It's really good to come. As the saying goes, watching the excitement is not afraid of big things. Who doesn't want more excitement? Tang San was also taken aback. He was in front of the White Tiger Demon Emperor, and he felt more profoundly. The aura emanating from His Majesty's body at this time was extraordinary, full of the taste of going all out. This is not as simple as a mere show. At the moment, Tang San didn't dare to be careless. The golden blue light flashed all over his body, and a strong breath of life burst out. This kind of marriage meeting must not use any weapons, otherwise it will hurt each other's peace. But he still released his own aura, and at the same time as the life energy surged, there was a faint light and shadow of the crystal dragon flickering behind him. Only with the cover of the crystal dragon, he will not be questioned when using other attribute abilities. The White Tiger Demon King exhaled, suddenly let out a tiger roar, and directly slapped Tang San with his right hand eye in the sky. A gigantic tiger with a length of 1,000 meters seemed to appear in the sky in an instant, and the huge tiger claws went straight to Tang San and slapped it on the head. That sound shook the sky. Tang San didn't dare to be careless. A clear dragon chant sounded from him. The crystal dragon behind him changed and turned into gold, and the golden holy light burst out with it, and with the same palm, the cloud bridge behind him surged like a horse as if practicing. A huge amount of life energy was gathered and injected into his body, turning it into a part of his strength. Bright holy dragon. The wind follows the tiger, the cloud follows the dragon. A huge dragon shadow emerged, and the dragon's claws collided with the tiger's claws. Immediately, golden and white airflow shot up into the sky. The dragon and tiger shone brightly, and the sky trembled. Grandpa, are you serious? Tang San smiled helplessly. The white tiger demon king watched Tang San defuse his attack without taking a single step. His pupils shrank slightly. How can it be so easy to marry my granddaughter? Catch me again. Pulling his arms back, an arc was drawn on each side of the body, and the two claws were swung out at the same time. Immediately, the two tiger claws in the sky rubbed against each other. Not only did the sharp claws strike, but a thick thunderbolt fell from the sky. Good guy, even when he was sparring with the white tiger demon king, Tang San never faced such an attack from him. At this moment, facing this incomparably powerful slap, he was also slightly taken aback. But at this time, there must be no half backing down. Instead of retreating, Tang San advanced. Instead, he took a step forward. The crystal dragon light and shadow behind it changed again, becoming deeper and deeper. The golden figure turned into dark gold, and in the next moment it turned into orange gold. Chapter 1138. Past the level. Immortal. Tang San said in surprise. Yes, isn't it the undead great demon emperor that appeared in the center of the hall? That generation of Phoenix Master who will burn the sky forever. The immortal demon king looked at Tang San with a serious face and said, You have already passed Brother Baihu's level, and you have to pass my level next. Don't be confused. Now there are some things I can tell you. Xiao Mei thinks if I become a godfather, I can also be regarded as my granddaughter. To be a grandfather, you have to test whether your grandson-in-law is qualified. Of course, Tang San knew about the relationship between the undead great demon king and young Master Mei, and this choice to reveal it at this time was obviously to tell him that the Phoenix and Peacock monster clan were no longer hostile, and he was also on his side in young Master Mei. This timing choice is naturally very ingenious. After all, he is not Tang San now, but Jean Miaolin. So that's it, I've met Grandpa gone. How clever Tang San was. He immediately bowed slightly to salute. Only then did a smile appear on the face of the immortal demon emperor. Although you call me Grandpa, you still have to pass this trial move. Let's do it in a different way. If you attack me 3 times, everything here will be impossible. Destruction, I have lowered my cultivation level to the 11th level. As long as you can push me back, it will be considered that you have passed this level. Lowered to the 11th level? This one really has confidence in himself. The white tiger demon emperor didn't say anything, just walked aside with a smile and stood still, looking at the two who were about to try a move. Tang San nodded, said, Okay. Not being able to destroy everything here means that when an attack is launched, one's own power cannot be leaked. Tang San stepped forward slowly, then slowly pushed his palm towards the direction of the undead great demon emperor. On the surface, his palm didn't seem to have any peculiarities. During the process of pushing it out, the force couldn't even be felt. But in the palm of his hand, it has completely turned orange gold, and the sacred power is completely condensed on the palm. When this palm was about to approach the undead demon emperor, Tang San's palm had even turned into a transparent orange gold, like a sparkling orange crystal. The immortal demon emperor didn't even raise his hand, but just looked at him with a smile on his face, seeing Tang San's palm had already slapped on the chest of the immortal demon emperor, and the divine power also erupted the moment it stuck to his body. As long as it hits his body, how to dissipate the energy and control the energy from leaking is up to him. But at this moment, Tang San suddenly felt his hands empty. The chest of the immortal demon king suddenly became unreal, and the divine energy erupting from his palm instantly penetrated. Not good. Tang San's heart trembled. The divine energy he erupted had already passed through the body of the undead great demon emperor, erupting from behind him. The white tiger demon king grinned when he saw it. This immortal old thing is really too insidious. However, in the next instant, the expressions of the two emperors changed. Tang San's slapped right hand suddenly made a concave movement, and a strange scene also appeared. The sacred energy that had already erupted and was about to hit the wall was suddenly recovered and was sucked into his palm again. It even covered the entire body of the undead great demon emperor from behind. The blazing flame rises. That crimson flame carried an incomparably high temperature. Tang San staggered back, and the holy energy was burned up in an instant. You are not the strength of the great demon king. Although Tang San staggered back, he said with a smile. The undead great demon king couldn't help but shook his head helplessly. It seems that I still underestimate you, kid. With such a subtle control of power, I'm afraid I'm not as good as you when you are also in the realm of the great demon king. It was you who asked me, Tang San said with a smile. Can I go to pick up the kiss now? The undead great demon emperor smiled slightly and nodded to him. Tang San took a deep breath and then walked inside. The two emperors looked at each other and smiled, but this time they didn't follow. Chapter 1139, Dad and Father. The White Tiger Demon King didn't stop him, so there was naturally a reason why the Immortal Demon King was there. At this moment, listening to his daughter's sweet voice, the Jingfeng Demon King couldn't control his emotions anymore, and burst into tears. I don't go in, Xiaomei, I'm sorry for you, I have no face to go in. I'm sorry for you. Congratulations, congratulations. After barely finishing these words, he staggered and turned around to leave. Young Master Mei stood there stiffly, and the next moment, she had already rushed out to end 2 or 3 steps. He caught up with the great demon king Jingfeng and grabbed his arm. The great demon emperor Jingfeng stopped in his tracks. With his cultivation as an emperor, his emotions almost collapsed at this time. I'm sorry, Xiaomei. Although it is better to be born than to be raised, there would be no me in this world without you. No matter whether mother forgives you or not, your blood flows through me after all. Today is my happy day, so stay here. Look at, for the sake of my face, my mother will not drive you away today. Without your blessing, my wedding is incomplete. The great demon king Jingfeng's body trembled, and tears flowed even more violently, but he was pulled by the arm of young Master Mei, and they walked back into the room together. He didn't dare to look at Su Qin again, but just lowered his head and wept silently. Like a kid who made a mistake, looking at his appearance, Tang Sen also secretly sighed in his heart. There must be something hateful about this poor man. If he knew this earlier, why did he do it in the first place? However, ever since the great demon king Jingfeng knew that young Master Mei was his own daughter, whether young Master Mei came to the ancestral court to report on his work later, or whether young Master Mei inherited the blood of the Phoenix Demon clan, he had a great deal of influence in it. Role. Without him, there would be no friendship with the immortal demon emperor. He has been repenting, and has been silently guarding his daughter, to pay for the mistakes that have been made. Therefore, no matter whether Su Qin forgives him or not, as a beautiful son of a daughter, he cannot be too ruthless to his biological father. Today is a happy day, don't cry. Jingfeng Demon King suddenly felt someone touch his shoulder. He froze for a moment, subconsciously wiped away his tears and looked up. It was a strange face, human appearance, but why was that look so annoying? Familiar hate. The great demon emperor Jingfeng was stunned. Who are you? Shao He smiled slightly, shrugged his shoulders and said, your old friend. Don't you know your old friend? Hey, you really lost. The pupils of the great demon emperor Jingfeng suddenly contracted, and he stared at Shao He in a daze, unable to speak for a moment. You. Shao He patted him on the shoulder and said, if you and Xiaomei still have revenge for killing your father, do you think she will forgive you? Do you think you can enter this door? The great demon emperor Jingfeng stood up suddenly, but in the next moment, he felt Su Qin looking towards him. The aura that was about to rise suddenly faltered. The eyes looking at Shao He were still full of disbelief. You are not dead? How could you not be dead? You are human now. Shao He smiled and said, yes. As for why you didn't die, that's a secret. Looking at your appearance today, all my resentment towards you is gone. Today is Xiaomei's day of great joy, and nothing is as good as this big day. I am no longer who I used to be, and I don't represent the race I used to be. Let's stop the hatred between us. The Jingfeng Great Demon Emperor's breathing was slightly disturbed. The scene in front of him was indeed a bit unacceptable. Even if he was an emperor, it would be good to have a trace of spiritual consciousness left in the Emperor Tianzhu after death. This Shao He didn't die, but became a human being alive. This is really unbelievable. Obviously, Mr. Mei and Su Qin also knew about it. Ahem. Xiaomei, can we prepare to leave? I'm here to pick up the bride. Tang San's voice sounded, dispelling the slightly awkward atmosphere at this time. Chapter 1140, Ceremony begins. The great demon emperor White Tiger came in front of them, and his majestic face was a little more emotional. He looked at Mr. May first, and the lines on his face suddenly became softer. Darling granddaughter, today is your wedding day. Grandpa doesn't have too many instructions. I just hope that you can be with Mimi in the future, and be united forever. If he dares to bully you, you can tell Grandpa. Even if Grandpa can't beat him in the future, I will give you an outlet for this old life. Young Master May's eyes turned red. Grandpa. But the White Tiger Demon Emperor's eyes turned to Tang San, and his majesty regained instantly. Boy, Xiaomei's future is entrusted to you. Today I entrust him to you, not because of how powerful you are or how beautiful you are, the future, but because she likes you. I remember what you said, and I hope you can treat her well. Her future belongs to you. Protecting one's wife is the most important mission of a man. Treat her well, cherish her, love her, and wish you eternal life, forever united. Thank you, Grandpa. How could Tang San not be excited at this moment? He bowed and bowed to the White Tiger Demon Emperor. Only then did the White Tiger Great Demon King show a smile on his face, took young Master May's hand, handed her hand to Tang San's, and patted the backs of their hands. The tiger's eyes were slightly wet. Tiancheng, a married couple. Let's walk the path that belongs to you together. After speaking, he stepped aside. Tang San and young Master May looked at each other, even though the white veil on young Master May's head separated them. But at this moment, nothing could block the blending of their eyes. A crisp hum sounded in their minds at the same time. It was the vibration of the divine sword of Shura, and the beauty clearly felt that the divine sword of Shura in his sea of consciousness became more and more clear and bright at this moment. She was close to his body, holding his arm, and their breaths blended with each other at the same time. Take steps and set foot on the ladder. Just go down the ladder step by step from the front of the blue gold palace. Immediately, cheers resounded throughout the entire ancestral courtyard, and countless blessings and cheers resounded through the sky at this moment. A loud and clear dragon chant suddenly sounded. Ong! The passionate dragon roar was full of joy and blessing. In the next moment, countless dragon chants echoed, and countless dragon-shaped lights and shadows rose into the sky to shine. And the dragon chants were accompanied by cheers and blessings. It was the long chant of thousands of dragons. Tang San knows that Suan Yu is here. This is the blessing that Suan Yu brought the dragon clan of Crystal City to send them. My colleagues are also proving to the ancestral court that the dragon clan has no emperor, but it is still strong. At the same time, the clear and melodious sound of the phoenix cry suddenly sounded, and the light and shadow of the phoenix also emerged. With the sound of the phoenix cry, the sound of the phoenix cry and the sound of the dragon chant complement each other. No more, no less. How many dragon chants are there? How many phoenix cries did not exceed half a point, but just happened to complete the cadenza of dragon and phoenix harmony. Compared with the dragon clan without an emperor, the phoenix monster clan, which has two main cities, is at an unprecedented peak at this time. But today, at Tang San's wedding with young Master May, the Phoenix Monster Clan did not want to join the Dragon Clan. Competing for superiority, the sound of Fengming was just a sound full of blessings. The leading phoenix cry is exactly what a crystal-clear phoenix made. The phoenix cry is unusually loud and clear, and the blessing is so sincere. Dragons and phoenixes sang in harmony, under the cover of thousands of dragons and phoenixes. Tang San and young Master May walked down the ladder step by step. Such a shocking and magnificent scene immediately stunned the people of the entire ancestral court. A burst of cheers followed, and the cheers from different races turned into eager waves, expressing their inner agitation at this time. Although these cheers could not exceed the singing of dragons and the singing of phoenixes, the temperature of the entire ancestral courtyard seemed to become stronger because of this. Boom, 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 boom. Around the ancestral court, circles of fireworks rose into the sky. Although it was still daytime at this moment, the colorful fireworks were so dazzling. The sunlight seemed to be adjusted, and it became a bit dimmer at this moment, making the brilliance of the fireworks more vivid.